Bismillahirrahmanirrahim wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Peace and love, y'all. I'm Brother Ali. Welcome back to the Travelers Podcast. If you listen, you know that I start every episode with the words that preceded this, but what I'm about to say is what I say almost every time I have a guest. This is a special episode. I say that because the people that I invite to this podcast are not just people that I think will get likes and shares and all that good stuff, even though we do need those things because we're in an algorithmic world where if you like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff, it really does help the show and it helps us reach people that may benefit from what we're up in here talking about. But the people that I invite are people that I love and people that are important to me, people that I admire something about them and their work. I don't subscribe to this idea that we've got to co-sign everything about the people that we stand next to or the people that we give a voice to or the people that we're curious about, but the people that I invite to this show are people that there's something about them that I have benefited from tremendously. And so that's what I'm here to celebrate with them. But this guest that you probably already read because you clicked on it and you saw the title before you clicked it, Ant, A-N-T, Anthony Davis is back on the podcast. Ant is the producer for Atmosphere. Ant is also the one that produced the albums of mine that people seem to see as my seminal works, the ones that got me on the map and took me to the heights that I was able to reach. Most of that work is with Ant. The sound that people know me for, and I think that I'm most readily identifiable for, is the work and the sound and the voice and the textures and the tones and topics that I've been able to achieve with my man Ant. We did my debut album, which is Shadows on the Sun. We did the Undisputed Truth album. We did the Us album. We did All the Beauty in This Whole Life. We also did the EPs in between those things and a number of other songs and things like that. These are kind of some of the main chapters. And I've also done amazing work with other producers too. So earlier this year, I did an album with an incredible producer, animator, illustrator. His name is Unjust, and that album is called Love and Service. Y'all, if you listen to this podcast, you know that the industry just sidelined that album because we're talking about Palestine. But that's an amazing album. There's videos for almost every song. There are actually videos for every song. They just haven't all been released. And eventually, we will release that album as a full animated, illustrated film. The Love and Service album is really important to me, but almost nobody knows that it happened. It showed up on a couple of end-of-year lists, but I mean, that's a whole other story. But I love that album. I love Morning in America, Dreaming in Color that I did with the Grammy Award-winning Jake One. I love Love and Service that I did with Evidence. I have my own joints that I made myself. My demo tape I produced myself called Rites of Passage. This year will celebrate its 25th anniversary, which is crazy to think about. And then also I do a series called Brother Minister that I produce myself. And, I've done stuff with DJ Green Lantern and Static Selector and all kind of dope people. But the work that I've done with Ant is, I think, the reason why people know who I am and perhaps even love the work that we've done. And Ant's one of my dearest friends. He's my greatest musical collaborator. I would say that, Ant and BK1 are the two people that have allowed me to be Brother Ali. Like really, my life's work, the dream of my life has become a reality because of those two people. And so it's a beautiful thing to still be rocking with them. Ant and I made a new album called Satisfied Soul that we love to death. It's 17 songs. We made 18 songs. 17 of them are on the album. The 18th one is actually available if you get the deluxe vinyl. So we partnered with a record label called Mello Music Group. I used to be on a label called Rhymesters for years and years and years. I'm no longer on that label. I still love everybody, but I'm not doing my business there anymore. So for this album, we partnered with a record company called Mello Music Group. And I should ask Mello, the head of that record company, to come on this show because he's a really dope and inspiring and really deep dude that has a lot of great things to say and share. So that's something that we should definitely do. Me and Ant made 17 songs. Actually, we made 18. 17 of them are on the album. The 18th song you can get as a special bonus edition. If you go to either brotherali.com or go to Mello Music, you can order it from either one. 5 of those songs are streaming now on what we're calling the Satisfied Soul EP. And we just did a 22-city tour to celebrate. The episode last last week is me talking about how amazing that tour was for me. There's a lot of teary moments of just me feeling so overwhelmed with gratitude for how difficult it was going into that tour and how triumphant it felt. I mean, if we're talking about stories of like personal overcoming, obstacles and achieving our dreams and all this kind of stuff, I've lived that over and over and over again. And it's not just me. Ultimately, it is the creator and the source that is the author of it all. And then also an amazing team of people that we love each other and we believe in what we're doing. And then also you guys, y'all who listen to the music, listen to the podcast, that actually show up and support. You buy tickets to concerts, you come, you buy the VIP, you subscribe to the podcast, all that kind of stuff. So this conversation you're about to hear is me and Ant when we would just had the final 3 shows of the tour yet to go. So we had done the East Coast. We were entering the Midwest. We hadn't yet done our show in Chicago, which was amazing. We hadn't yet done Madison, which was amazing. And we hadn't yet done Minneapolis at First Avenue, which was sold out, which is a tremendous triumph in my life and it's the evening I will never forget as long as I live. So we still didn't know that these things were coming. But me and Ant sat down in the hotel room. I got to tell you, this one is mega raw. Like I didn't have the professional mics. To be honest, we both held our phones and just talked into our phones, and then we just connected the 2 audios together. Also, sometimes we edit this podcast. So BK1 is an amazing editor. We just started working with a new editor named Don Kufi, who's just now starting to dip. You're going to start seeing some more Don Kufi editing coming up, inshallah. But this one in particular, I didn't want to edit. So this is a long conversation. There's not really a lot of structure to it. This is similar to the style of podcast that Joe Rogan does. Like basically you got these kind of like 2, I would say really there's 3 podcasters that I look to as really the pillars. So one of them is Mark Maron, who does really tight, very high-paced, but really humanizing great interviews. Like he's a great interviewer. But there's a certain, I would say, flow or structure to his interviews that they all kind of do the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just, but you get to hear such a wide variety of people go through that particular interview process that he does. And it's very concise. It's 45 minutes. You really get a snapshot of who this person is. Amazing. And he's one of the founders of it. And then another one for me is Reggie Ose, the Combat Jack Show. Rest in peace to Reg. In terms of hip hop, to me, that is the podcast for hip hop. I love that podcast beyond words. There's been a lot of great hip hop podcasts, and there's been some that I frankly don't like at all because they're messy and they bring out the worst of people, and they're all about there's too much gossip and things like that. I'm just not into that. I watch the highlights, you know what I mean, but I don't want to watch people get inebriated and be the worst version of themselves. I don't want to watch people just sit up and comment about each other and talk about gossip and all that kind of. I don't like that. Sway is not a podcaster, but I got to say that, Sway is incredible. There's been a number of people that have done this thing really beautifully. Angie Martinez, there's been a number of really, really incredible interviewers in the space. But then Joe Rogan has his style. And I'm not necessarily a fan of Joe Rogan. I don't love him or hate him. He's just a person that exists in the world. I know Dave Chappelle seems to love him. So it's like, okay, I've seen moments where Joe Rogan, it's just like whoever is sitting in his chair, he's probably going to go along with them. So if he's got people in his chair that I agree with, then I usually like that version of Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? Like when he was talking to Raekwon the other day, I'm like, oh, this is kind of tight. You know what I mean? Or when he's talking to Cornel West, I'm like, yo, I love this guy. Or Immortal Technique or Vinny Paz. If he's talking to my friends, I love it. But then he'll talk to some people that'll be going on. He had Abby Martin on, and I mean that was dope. We got to ask Abby to come on the podcast. I think I have. We just need to ask her I need to just schedule it with her. But Abby Martin is a G. I love her so much. And then but if he's talking to some whatever super pro Israel whatever, he's talking to, there's people that I'm just like, man, he agrees with them too. You know what I mean? It's like, so I don't know how I feel about him as a person, but he definitely is one of the founders of what became this thing of podcasting. And his style is just sit down and see where it goes. And that's really the conversation that me and Ant had here today. We're brought to you as always by the Zakat Foundation, Zakat. Zakat.org is their website. Zakat.us is their, or Zakat US is their social media. This is just a really dope organization. And so if you enjoy this podcast and you've never done anything with Zakat Foundation, just go there and at least give them $5. $5, you can put it on a meal to somebody that's in need of. I mean, they get food into Gaza, and they genuinely do it. They help the Ukrainians. It's not only Muslims that they help. It's a really dope organization. It's like an underground record label of global humanitarian organizations. That's the way I see them. And we're very grateful to have them as a sponsor. They've been with us since day one, since our first episodes. So this is the third episode that we've done with Ant. The first two I recorded in his basement last summer when I was actually making the Satisfied Soul album. Those are full video episodes. They're well produced. BK edited them. So go and check those out. If you've never seen or heard Anthony talk, it's just a beautiful thing. So what you're hearing here is just the two of us sitting down, holding our phones in my hotel room in Omaha, Nebraska. Shout out to Omaha. Our tour bus broke down. It just so happened to be on a day off. So alhamdulillah, we still made it to Chicago and everything was fine. And Chicago is where we rented the bus from. So we got a fancy new tour bus. So enjoy this episode of the Travelers Podcast with me and my man, A.N.T. When you were on the podcast last year,
yeah,
we didn't say at that time that the reason that I was there is because of the fact that we were working on the album.
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
No, we didn't mention it at all.
Okay, yeah.
Like it just, once we made the announcement, that was the first time that people knew that we had been working on anything,
Yeah.
I think a few people in the comments were like, you guys making music while you're in the basement?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we were almost like a month into to working on the record. I almost don't even know where to start. I mean, one of the main things is that, even when I was thinking about leaving America, doing my music on my own, like setting my own situation up, you knew that I was contemplating that. And you were like, hey, man, just so you know, any move that you make, whatever you need to do, whatever, like we'll keep making music together. You know what I mean? Like our music and our friendship is not based on what record label it's on, where you live,
or
whatever.
Business at any level.
What the business is,
Uh-huh.
And that meant a lot, you know what I mean? Because it's one of the things that, like wanting to change the way I do business, I didn't want to lose my friendships, my relationships, you know what I mean? So that was really dope. Living in Istanbul for several years, then coming back to Minneapolis, like this whole thing started, because I made a couple trips and we made music, but then I came back for a full month, and that's when it really started cracking.
Yeah, really start going. Yeah, and to me, it's hard to think that you were gone that long. Time is so weird in general these days to me.
Yeah.
It's always been strange, and then the business part of it all, that's the part I care about the least.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I sincerely I just don't. I can't. I just don't know why. My brain just refuses to think about that part. I hope that's not to my detriment one day. but I'm pretty sure for me the most important part is the music and the friendships.
Yeah.
And the artistry and all that. That's how, it's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I felt like that way for a long time too, until it just like, man, I just couldn't. I had to start, you know what I mean?
Doing something different.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing with people like, and because I put another album out and we put other music out on our own label, but then something about this one, like partnering with Mello Music on this one, people were like, wait, this isn't on Rhymesayers? Like when I was putting my own music out, nobody noticed. But then the second I started partnering with that label, people were like, wait, you know what I mean?
Oh, really? People noticed anything?
Yeah, I had a few people just
asking,
It's
always strange to me how people even notice things like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or like what it means to them.
Yeah, what is it? What's the difference?
Yeah. Like I think there are people that still think of record labels as like a crew.
Yeah.
Like this is a rap, like the Juice Crew or like Rockefeller Records. You know what I mean? Like it's a gang or something.
Yeah, it's so weird. I've never ever thought of it like that. I really never did. And I know people might not believe me, but I've always thought of it as two different things.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people in hip hop did. I did. I thought about rhyme series like that for a long time. And then there's just like a switch that flipped in my head where I was like, I can still make music with these people. It just means so many different things. Like the friendship, family thing is one thing.
Yeah.
The music thing is it. And then it's just the operation, the business operation, which like you said, is the least important part.
Yeah.
And so like that's the part that changes, you know? I think like one of the main things, like we do meet and greets on this tour, and we tell people like we're on this tour just to let people know that we have an album coming. But like every week, something like thousands of records like drop because now you can just post them.
Yeah.
Thousands of albums come out every single week.
Heard that too. Yeah.
It's like way more than anybody could ever keep up with, you know? And it's so easy to release music. But the reason that we did a tour for this record is because of the fact that we feel like this is one of the best things we've ever done. Like we're releasing an album the way that we did when we did Shadows on the Sun, Undisputed Truth. Like it's like a major chapter in our like creative.
Well, the truth too is that is totally true, but there's also a mixture of at first when this first came about was the record would be out now. It was like you were just going to put it out yourself and so be it. Yep. So I was like, I sincerely, I didn't care if it was on a major label or by yourself or if I was putting it out. To me, I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So when we first started talking about this at any level, that was my mindset.
Yeah.
And that still hasn't changed. It just so happens now you got deals going somewhere else. But I sincerely cared less.
Yeah.
So there lies that. You know what I mean? and going on tour is also the same. It was an entirely different reasonings. You know what I mean? Yes, made this great music, and I want to make sure to share it. But there was an opening, and there was a chance for me to just try this out. Hang out with you was the most important part.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like, or whatever,
Yeah.
So all the other things, they'll land as they come. That's how I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so dope, man. It's like, and it's easy to get, like the whole time on this tour, it's like the second we started it, like I was looking forward to this so much.
Yeah.
And then the first day, I was like, oh no, this is going to end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started missing it the first day. I was already dreading, like, no, it's going to end. You know what I mean? I'm going to have to go back to... Yeah. It's like,
my first day, I was like, dang, I'm going to ruin this whole thing.
Man.
I'm starting these songs way late. He doesn't like it like that. And then I'm about to curse on the mic.
Man, the funniest one is when you almost cursed announcing D1. Ladies and gentlemen, D mother... What?
Yeah. And I know I stopped myself from saying that. And he says I said the whole thing. I said, no. I know when I stopped myself.
He was saying, I think he meant it's like, it's okay. He's like, man, just say it how you say it.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel comfortable because it doesn't represent him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, But now I don't know what to say. So I just say, hey, D1, y'all.
But it's crazy because... just the idea of you doing this tour, because you're already, because Atmosphere's business is like 3 to 5 times the size of what I do. Mm-hmm. And then, you know what I mean? And then like what it means, you tour all the time. Mm-hmm. Like y'all always, it's like an unstoppable, never ending train. You know what I mean? It's like Atmosphere is a machine.
Yeah.
That like there could be 3 albums a year if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If the label wasn't saying like, no, give us time, like y'all could easily put out
it could be ridiculous.
More than that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then also like you just are constantly touring. And so, it's dope. So both for the schedule, like, that we just happened to find, like, this tour is 5 weeks.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, when you put it all together. So for you to do that, and then for you to be in a van instead of getting on in a bus, that's one of the things that people just don't realize. Like, life in a tour bus is very different from the van. You know what I'm saying? In a bus, like, you're not awake for the travel part. Like, you drive overnight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You wake up in the city, and then you got the whole day to be in that city.
Yeah.
And you're chilling. In the van, you get up in the morning as early as 5 a.m. and start driving. And you spend most of your waking hours, like, in the car, basically in the car.
Yeah.
And then get out, and you got an hour or so before it's time to go check in. So you're really only seeing a hotel and a venue. It's just a very, very different type of touring.
Yeah, it is a very different type of touring, but I don't know if this is just me, my selfish side kicking in, or what it is. But I mean, this has been super fun to me, and the and maybe because I'm like, oh well, this is just this one time, maybe, and that's what's going on in my mind, where I'm not thinking about those parts, like getting up at 5 a.m. or whatever, a 10-hour drive. I just don't care.
Yeah.
None of it's affecting. I don't care.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm thinking, oh, I'm not doing this next year too. You know what I mean?
This isn't your address.
This isn't. This is not. Yeah, so I'm visiting, and that makes me feel kind of strange. I don't know exactly what that is. I that might be a certain kind of guilt, or I don't know. There's something going on in me right now where it's like, am I respecting this enough? Do I respect my atmosphere gig enough? Like, where am I right now? Where am I sitting? Like, yeah, because you can complain about the cushiest jobs and the hardest jobs equally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I like touring in a van.
Yeah, I'm there's things about this I like a lot.
Like, yeah. But I really value, like, the things that I value most, you really get on a van tour. So, like, when you're, like, I value having some contemplation time. I like to have some time with the crew, with the friends on tour.
Yeah.
And I like to have some alone time. And so, like, the way we used to tour in a van used to be rough. Because, like, we had 6-7 shows a week. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was like, we were cutting every possible cost. So you always had at least one roommate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was very difficult. You never had time alone, But the way we do it now, and then also things are laid out much better, so, like, we've only gotten up at 5 a.m. once on this whole, most of the time we're leaving at like 11 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the way that it is now, the time that you're driving through mountains and all that kind of stuff is like beautiful contemplation time. Like, I love to have time every day to just think. You know what I'm saying? So I love that. But then there's also a good amount of time for us to just kick it in the van and talk. You know what I mean? So, like, always, like, I choose the people I tour with now. Like, who do I want to hang out with every day?
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be that. I have to believe in what they do on stage, but I also have to want to be around them. I want to be for, like, this is who I'm going to live with, basically.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then also being able to have time in a hotel room or to be able to go walk or whatever. So it's like, man, to me, it's amazing. Like, I love it. You got, like, the contemplation time, the time with friends, and the time alone.
It is the same on the bus. It's similar, You do have, at least for me, there's plenty of time alone. But there's tons of time around others. And, the sleeping, all that stuff, It's just, I think, I've been around in atmosphere. There's some of us that have been together. I mean, obviously me and Slug for 30 years or something, but that's totally different but the actual touring part's only been 20 for me. So, but there's a few of us that have been doing that together for the full 20. Everybody else, maybe at least 15 to 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a total different thing. There's not a whole lot of, we'll get one or one guy here or there swap out.
Yeah.
But generally, the core of the group is all the same people.
Yeah.
You know, and you know all the ins and outs, and you kind of, you know, and we all are growing at different ways.
Man, is that ever true?
You know, and some of us are growing way different than the others, and you sometimes forget that everybody is, and you still hold people for what they were 10 years ago or 5 years ago. You're not holding them for what they are right at this moment.
Yeah.
And so and it's easy to forget that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're in your own head so much. And you're like, oh, wait, this dude's totally different than he was from back, you know,
Yeah.
from whatever, you know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. This tour, I don't know anybody. I know you,
Right.
but I don't know anybody on this tour.
Yeah.
You know, brought Jonah, but I don't barely know him.
Yeah.
I just know he was a badass worker. I know that, so brought him on for that.
Yeah.
But I don't really know him. You know?
Yeah. You know, yeah, it's interesting. I guess my touring crew has switched out. So me and Brendan did 10 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that's more similar to like the me and you relationship. Like these are the two, like these are my day one relationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like building my thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that was one thing. But it's interesting, like me and Brendan were together so much that we irritated each other by the time we were done touring.
Yeah.
Like we didn't used to hang out when we were off tour and stuff.
I totally remember that, actually. I do remember that.
Yeah, we really got on each other's nerves sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now it's still different, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like now it's completely different. Mm-hmm. But I guess my touring crew is like switched out like every few years. Cause I definitely had one in the beginning that I thought was gonna be like the crew, and then almost overnight like that I had a whole like turnover.
Yeah.
Like the DJ, the sound man, the merch guy, the backup guy, like everybody switched all at once.
Yeah.
That was kind of a trip. I didn't think that was going to be like that.
Yeah, and it feels like you always have a different crew. Yeah. I've been around, like I said, I've been around the same people.
Yeah.
At least minimum 10 years. Now it's some of them 15, like I said. So it's a different thing. It's a whole different thing. So being on here, I'm taking everybody for whatever they're showing me right this moment. I have zero idea what they were like 5 years ago or last month for that matter.
Yeah.
I'm taking them for what they are at this moment.
Yeah.
Me and you have what we have, and that's different too, because that's complex, and as great of a friendship as we have, there's times we don't see or talk to each other for months and months.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
But you're one of the rarest people of all time where it gets back to where it's supposed to be almost within a day. Sometimes two. You know what I mean? It takes a sec. But for me, that's a lot, because I don't turn on and off like that. You know what I mean? I can't do that normally. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a trip. It's just such a trip. Like, just like to be an artist for a living is kind of like just being a human being for a living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's one of the only things that I can really, the only other thing, so it's like I got my artist friends, and then I have my like religious scholar friends. Mm-hmm. And we're so much alike. And I think we need each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's kind of like, so like, I have this family of artists, but then I also have like my comedian, rapper family of artists that I'm not around as much, but I'm around them enough. Mm-hmm. So like rappers and comedians are like in the Chappelle and Yassine Bey and Talib Kweli world. Like rappers and comedians are enough alike that we're like really intriguing to each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not identical, but it's like really intriguing to kind of like see that world from the other side. But that's what it's like hanging out with religious scholars too. Like for an artist and a scholar, like to be together, it's like intriguing how similar they are, and they're also different in some ways.
That's funny.
But it's like the only two things where like we're just human for a living, kind of. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like what we do, like allows people to have a window into what being a person is, and they like it helps them understand themselves differently. You know what I mean? Like they get to see themselves from looking at artists or spiritual, religious scholars and teachers.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think athletes are a similar kind of thing. It's like you know what I mean? Like there's like a something about humanity that's on display when you see somebody try to overcome their thing and like, you know what I mean? And their, you know, the discipline to try to achieve something and to strive for something.
Yeah, I'm sure all these things are like that. Yeah. Like no matter certain professions that somebody has to try really hard at, and you know, they could probably. I could see that, especially sports or anything, maybe. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of artists that kick it with sports people, and I don't have as many of those kind of.
Yeah, they're kind of different. I don't know any really either, but I've been around a couple and just listened to how they speak, and it's just different.
Yeah,
it's a different thing.
Yeah,
a different part of the brain.
Yeah, this tour has been like really, like I've learned a lot of things on this tour. It's weird. Like I feel like coming on this tour, I feel like this is officially a new phase. You know what I mean? Like I didn't see it this way until this tour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it really I feel like, and it's mostly like the world's in a different place and our listeners are in a different place.
Yeah.
And their relationship with us is in a different place. Like I feel now that they're older. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like we're all older, but there's something about being an artist that I don't know, like especially me and you. I'm like, I think we're younger than we've ever been. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, man. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you also, but I'm like, man. Maybe it's me, but I'm like,
no. You know, I don't feel old. You know, at all. There's no part of me that feels that way. I don't have achy body parts, and you know, my memory isn't as good as it was, but I don't know if my memory is ever great. You know what I mean? I can remember record covers, and I've always been good at that. I can't remember the last time I remembered the name of a song or I've never been able to do that. So who cares? I think I'm just the same. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. You know, when I see people that, you know, oh man, we're the same age. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you look in bad shape, my man. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just count my blessings on this stuff.
It's weird, like, people always assume that we have more money than we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially me. Mm-hmm. Like people really be thinking that I have a lot of money. And
people think I do too. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so somebody said to me, you know, I just posted a thing with me and you talking about like weight and stuff like that. And so somebody was like, yeah, if you've got the money to like live in another country and to do all these things, then that's great. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, your money has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like me and my wife, we moved to Istanbul with $2,000. Mm-hmm. Like that's how much money we had when we moved to Istanbul.
Yeah.
We had $2,000.
I would have highly recommended you not doing that.
You did.
I did tell you that, didn't I?
Yeah. And I was just like, man, it seems like you know what I mean? And I mean, alhamdulillah, that worked out, you know?
Yeah.
But like, man, we had $2,000. We also had, I think I had a lot open on credit cards too. Like my credit cards were all paid off. Mm-hmm. And so I think we had more than that on credit cards and we definitely like used them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, man, money ain't got nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And even now, like the change in life and all that kind of stuff and like being healthy and all that kind of stuff, it is not a money thing. It's a mindset thing.
Yeah. It can be in some ways as far as like if you go into like Whole Foods and buying foods, it is quite different to spend that kind of money. There is something there.
Yes.
But if you train your mind and body to think about it different.
Yeah.
And eat in a different way.
Yes.
You will adjust accordingly. And once you make that the priority, you can do it.
Yes.
You don't have to make a lot of money in a certain way.
Right.
But you get trapped in the thinking that you can't afford it. I do, so I understand it in some ways, you know. Yeah. So,
'Cause especially from the outside looking in, especially like if you haven't done that. But I mean, for
we
people to
come from
understand,
that. We've been around that.
no, yeah. Of
So,
course, I'm saying and but it's like it's important for like some of the conversations we've been having is like directly before doing this job, I was loading trucks and you were cleaning floors.
yeah, and we've mentioned that numerous times on this tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we just talked about the fact that like we're just talking about today, like, man, we got like what did we eat? You know what I mean? It'd be like, man, a pizza was like a luxury. Definitely like the big Snickers bar was a meal. A bag of microwave popcorn was plenty meals. Hamburger Helper was like a pretty much a staple.
Yeah. Just yes.
But it's like, man, I wish people could understand, like, neither one of us drink.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, if you don't have money to get good food,
Yeah.
what would happen if you cut out drinking? Because that would also take care of a lot of the trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, there's no weed. So, like, there's no weed and no alcohol.
Yeah.
So, like, just on both money and health. And then also, like, man, me moving to another country made me a minimalist.
Yeah.
Like, man, not just on tour, but like I live life. When I'm on tour, I rotate 2 or 3 outfits. And when I'm at home, I do the same thing. Like I just don't buy things anymore. Yeah. I don't want to own anything. Like after having to like reduce everything I own to 5 duffel bags to get on a flight. We also moved to Istanbul with 5 duffel bags. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, money got a whole lot to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus, you know, with me, I intermittent fast. I've been doing that for years now. I don't even know how many years now. It's either 2, 3, something.
Yeah.
So I maintain so my weight is not changing.
Right.
Anything. And that's not necessarily entirely why I started doing it, but it is part of it.
Yeah.
But I eat once a day.
Right.
So that's a thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you have to. Of course, you have to. I've never been a food guy, a food connoisseur guy. So it's not. It wasn't hard for me to. I'm not a foodie, so this was not hard for me to do.
Right.
This is hard lifestyle for my wife. She loves restaurants and things,
and she cooks, and like
she likes to cook and all these things. So it's different for her to think about. So I'm not saying everybody. This is a lifestyle for everybody.
Yeah.
But because I do that, my finances and food are just way down too.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, I mean, if you look at it like, and I wouldn't go to Whole Foods. We do that on tour.
Yeah, I don't do that at home necessarily either. But I am saying, if you live in this country, and that is an easy source to get the basic good stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to like some co-op, whatever. But the co-op is even more expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, it is a real thing that like in America, especially. Like it's anything other than that is gonna really work against you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I don't really eat anything in a package almost.
Yeah.
Even like when we go get juices, I'm like, man, these juices have a bunch of like there's sugar. Mm-hmm. There's so much sugar in everything. There's so much salt in everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Anything packaged, just like man. Yeah. So like when I'm in America, it's like man, I go there because like I have to make the salad. I have to see what goes on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to see what goes into it. It's like, man, salad, salmon, water, coffee. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
and then maybe once a week or something like that, I just like get a pizza or get some like late night halal food or something.
Well, yeah. So that explains why we both have, maintained some kind of steady weight, at least anyway.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that stuff does wonders for your skin and all kinds of stuff.
Man,
it's crazy.
Yeah, but it's just such a crazy thing that like people in America to say I don't have any intoxicants in my life at all, and I don't smoke cigarettes. There's no like that's so unheard of, and it's one of the things that I think people don't realize about the Muslim world is like. The overwhelming majority of people do not drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just a lot of them smoke, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so there's a pros and cons everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. But I'm saying just in terms of like people's relationship with their emotions is different. Like if you don't have, if you never, if you're never intoxicated, like you don't have that escape. You know what I mean? So when people see like the Muslim world, like how angry Muslims get over certain things or whatever, it's like these are people that never drink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a different thing. But yeah, I mean, just see that, like I was saying, that artists and spiritual people, and it's like you're just basically being a human being for a living. And so yeah, I'm seeing like on this tour, like the fans are aging, and like what that means, you know, and also our audiences are smaller, and like I get when people say across the board, like that's just like people just don't gather the way they used to. People don't go outside the way they used to. People don't do things, you know what I mean, in public the way that they used to. But also, like for a long time, like in the very beginning, it was like this was a popular thing to do. So like the type of energy that was at the show, there was like a lot of very like electric energy. You know what I mean? There was always like a line down the block. Like it was an exciting kind of like...
Yeah, but you're talking about, youth as well, because when back then, and I think you're getting to that, but, when you're talking about people in their 20s compared to people hitting 40, those are different people. And we're not gaining any new young fans.
Right.
This music is not touching younger people. Yeah. It just... I kind of touched on that before when I talked about working back in the day in my 20s when I worked with somebody who talked about some righteous stuff. I was like, oh, this is ridiculously corny. What are we doing? Yeah. So that was my ignorant youth, you know? Things haven't changed. I've just grown to this. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh, that's what I want to hear. Yeah. But I don't expect people in their 20s to want to hear this. Yeah. I would like them to. Yeah. It'd be awesome. Yeah. But I sure didn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what makes me so special, or you know what I mean? Yeah. So we got that going on. You were
saying that at some point me and Slug both made our own like shift about what we talk about. And you think we lost a lot of people?
Oh, 100%. You lost half your audience. You lost it with your politics and stuff like that, even though your biggest song is a political song. Yeah. But once you just went headfirst into that,
it was like first there was a political phase, then there was a very like religious
It was
phase.
fine too, because you're talking in the Bush era. Everybody was on your side with that. Yeah. Everybody was like, yeah, man, what's going on here? Yeah. But when Obama was in, the next time you start talking that mess, and it's like, you know what I mean? Everybody's like, I don't know for sure. I haven't put a lot of thought into it, but that's just the general feeling there. You know what I mean? And then you had your breaks and things like that. That didn't help. Yeah. Slug switched to family stuff. Yeah. And he made it a bold thing and made a direction to go that way. And I was all for it. Like, what do I know? I don't care. You know, your lyrics are that's who you are. It's fine with me. I'm going to still make the same music. But I changed musically too. I just didn't realize it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That we were doing such dramatic
So you talking about you guys, like the main dramatic switch was Family Sign?
Yeah, that would be the main.
And then it became dad rap.
And really leaning into dad rap, leaning into family life and more.
And then also that record was the one that you made with just the band.
Yeah, just the band. So even that was even more.
The sound of it was like,
totally. Yeah. It was totally. I remember at the time, the person I was seeing at the time, she was like, this sounds kind of rockish and country. I mean, what's up with that? Like, it's, she was like, a little bit, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I think
and she was white.
And she's white.
Like,
and then I think
if you got a white girl, from the Bay being like, what's up with this?
Yeah. And then I remember Sadiq saying, man, it's kind of sounding a little hickish, but whatever, kind of like that. And I don't know why I didn't hear them enough. Because I was like, the art of it all. And I was like, yo, you don't see what we're doing in my, the way but when I hear the music now, I'm like, oh, yeah. I see it now. I see what they saw. The minute it came out, I was like, oh, I see. Yeah. I see.
Because you did that. And it was even at the same time. Like when you guys did the Family Sign, I did Morning in America.
It's same thing.
And you know what I mean? Yeah. And Switch the Sound. That was the one I did with Jake Warren.
Yeah, Switch the Sounds. But it was kind of like, you can't see. You're at the time you're being an artist and expanding what you do. You're taking what you do and expanding it, and
Yes.
that's all you're doing.
And it reflects what you're doing in your life.
Yeah. So
like when I went on Hajj, I came back and I was like, like I need to be doing something bigger with my life than just doing shows every day.
Sure.
So like I'd start doing the commit, and then I'm like, all right, then you make, and then Slug, you know what I mean? That's like when he got married.
Yeah,
and
got married, had a new kid.
Yeah, and like it married for real.
Yeah.
Not rapper married.
Yeah.
Like Slug is married.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the kind of like is Slug gonna be okay life that he had for so long it was just completely over.
Yeah, it's and it's so easy to see it now, but at the time you seriously just living and doing what you're doing what feels right, as expanding what you do artistically. And I was stepping further and further away from samples to musically, and I was just expanding from the replays that we had just did. So I was expanding into a whole nother area of musicians and stuff, of just concentrating on that stuff. So it was like, and I like it, and it was dope, and it was all that stuff, but now I'm like, I see how we lost a bunch of people, and we never gained new people because of these.
The person that told me, and he didn't even tell me directly, but the person that told me like you're gonna mess this up, Tyler the Creator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Tyler told Paul.
Wow.
Was like, man, tell Ali he should just keep rapping.
Yeah.
Like keep rapping and keep talking about your life and like you know what I mean.
Wow.
Like man, this political thing ain't it.
Yeah.
And I remember just being, at that time, like Tyler hadn't become what he is now.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, who is he to tell me? You know what I mean?
He was young.
Yeah.
Young guy.
And also he was on the opposite end of the political thing at that time. You know what I mean? Like he was, yeah.
But it's hard. Yeah, but somebody had to say something.
But also I was like, man, I don't know. It's like, those turns, those turns do something to your career, but I think they're necessary. And especially because if it's like that's the direction your life is going, you gotta.
And you guys have stood on the idea that I'm going to be the authentic version of me.
Yes.
So no matter what. So Slug, prime example, he had been standing on these principles. I'm going to be who I am.
Right.
Boom. This is who he is, and that reflects it. We know tons of rappers.
Yes.
That are married and live the same lifestyle, but do not.
Yeah.
They sit here and do the opposite on records, and it's embarrassing at this level. If you're in your 50s, still talking like you're 22.
And I wonder, like,
crazy.
some people that build their stuff on, like, I'm wild and crazy. It's just like, man, how's that going to age? You know what I mean?
Seems to be doing just fine for some of these guys.
I mean, yeah, never. What do they say? Nobody ever went broke underestimating the intelligence of the American public.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I mean, it's close enough. Yeah. You see what movies are popular and all the art, the art that's popular in this country. Yeah, it's no surprise,
Yeah.
It's, but it's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that when we first started.
Yeah.
Hence our own label, our own independent thing. I mean, if you think about it, like, this might be going a little strange way of putting it, but like who would have taken a chance on a Muslim albino white dude from the Midwest?
Yeah.
Seriously, what was about to take that serious?
Yeah.
Only someone like Rhymestayers, Sadiq in general, but Rhymestayers, that. And, taking chances on, like, someone like Mikey. You know what I mean? Just some little weird white dude, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, it's very unique.
Yeah.
Misfit toys,
Yeah.
Yeah, just the misfit toys. So, it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, but it's interesting that, like, I would have thought, like, okay, what if you get in your mid-40s and the audience gets older and the numbers go down and the energy isn't quite the same? You know what I mean? How would you feel about that? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't choose that. And like I didn't feel that way until the first couple days of this tour.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? And also, like, the numbers looked like they were going to be worse than they ended up being. You know what I mean? The numbers ended up still being solid. Everyone's fine. It's
Yeah,
not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was weird too because I've been experiencing this.
Yeah, well, atmosphere is always ahead of me.
Yes,
I always took my cues from y'all.
Yeah, and I just didn't realize that you didn't know this at some level. So I was kind of like, "Oh, is it my fault?" You know what I mean? Like you were like, "Oh man," you were just you just seemed like,
I was stressed by it.
Yeah, you were stressed. So I was like, "Oh man, I made this tour life worse," because that's just how I am. I internalize too, just like any natural artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna be like,
I never saw that so much until now.
Yeah.
Where I was like, if there's ever any, I mean, we've never had a problem between us, but if there's ever anything that looks like like we're both thinking like, oh man, I need to be doing better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we both are thinking that.
Yeah.
Not so like something about this tour. Well, because when you go on tour, it's like there's a whole other set of, like there's a problem to solve every moment almost. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's different than just being in a studio or being in the basement or like, you know what I mean? Like on tour, there's it's like our physical reality, our time, our money, our like there's a lot on the line when you go on tour. You know what I'm saying? And then also there's all
But it's all immediate.
Yes.
It's immediate. Like you have to deal with them now.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, the times when I'm still frustrated with people and, business people or something like that. And like, but like, we're always both approaching it from the perspective of like, oh man, am I causing this? You know what I mean? And how can I make this better? And like, yeah. But if I would have, so I think part of it is that I just haven't been around atmosphere like I used to be.
Yeah.
So I always could look at atmosphere and be like, okay, that's where things are headed for me, probably. Like I'm always going to be the atmosphere is always going to be doing 3 to 5 times what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And whatever I see for you guys is like, that's where things are headed for me. But I don't think I've really been around you guys for a couple of years, just being in Turkey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I just didn't see it. But then we got on the tour and people just buy their tickets very late. You know what I mean? Like now, like people like, so we're going into these rooms and so, okay, a 500 person room that used to be sold out or very close. Now is like 300 instead of 500.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, that's still respectable. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? But like 150 of them buy their tickets when the tour goes on sale, and I'm looking at a report every single week now. Because like now I run my own touring company. Yeah. Now there's no buffer in between me and all the data. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I see every week who bought tickets and who didn't. So like now I'm seeing like, oh man, we're about to be in a 500 person room that used to be sold out or close to sold out. Now there's gonna be 150 people. You know what I mean? And then we show up and like, no, 100 people bought tickets in the last 2 days. And then 50 more walk up. Or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we're at 300, and it's like that's a respectable number. It's fine. Touring isn't over, you know what I mean? But so that's a trip. But okay, so now we're in this place where it's less people, it's not as energetic, but everybody in the room understands why we're there. You know what I mean? Like when it was in the earlier days, a constant frustration for me was like how much I was celebrated but not understood. Like I want to be understood, not celebrated.
Yeah.
Like I don't care about celebrated. It doesn't reach me at all. When somebody's like, you're dope, I'm like, okay, whatever. How dope or whack or whatever, that's totally an internal thing for me. For me, it's like I want to connect, I want to feel understood. You know what I mean? And so now it's like, man, everybody in the room really understands exactly what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? And also this time too, doing the meet and greet especially, I'm realizing how many people really care about the podcast, which I never knew.
Yeah.
I know that we have like every week is 2,000 people, even if it's just me talking, that listen. And if the guest can make it go up to 20,000 or whatever, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But it's like, man, actually, like, like, especially there was the dude, the Mexican homie that came from Compton in LA. And he was like, I listen to your podcast every day, fool. And I was like, you mean every week? He's like, no, fool, every day. Like, he's like, I listen to old episodes. Like, he had bought oud. This guy bought, like, gave money to Zakat Foundation. He gave money to Gaza. He bought he wanted to go get a suit made by the tailor dude. Man, this guy knew everything. I'm like, man. I'm like, yo, this might be my favorite. Just in terms of like the connection with the audience, like I feel more comfortable than I ever felt.
That's the best. That's the best.
Like, man, the smallest show of the tour was Omaha last night. And they legitimately might have been my favorite one.
Yes, yeah. Every night's been great. Yeah, you know, I at Atmosphere shows to this day, I still walk around the audiences. I still hang around, even though I don't drink and stuff. I hang around the bar part, and I before and after show. I still do all that. Granted, it's a whole different experience, you know, but I'm connecting with these people all the time, and it's always been that way. And then this tour, it's pretty amazing, you know, because I am meeting. But I guess it's across the board. It's the same kind of people for the most part. But, you know, because there's plenty of people who know who I am. But then there's a handful of people that have no idea how much music I've made with you, let alone in Atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that's been really surprising to me. But it's been awesome, too, to make me think, oh, man, I've made it this far in this business, and no one still doesn't know what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, that's crazy to me.
It's pretty insane.
Like the fact that people have just been like, you know, like I post stuff with us together and like, oh, that's amazing. You guys are coming together. I'm like, man.
We've been doing it.
From the beginning.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and then people that be like, which Atmosphere songs did Ant make? Like all of them. I mean, 99.999% of them.
Like, there's like 4 or 5 I didn't out of, I don't know, 1,000? I don't know. So it's like crazy. And then all your stuff, and then whatever. It's just been a...
Yeah, there's that. I Self Divine, Musab, Dem Atlas.
Yeah.
You got songs with the Grouch.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that people just don't know stuff.
Yeah.
But it's pretty fun though. This has been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really dope.
It's crazy too, because I made like a memo for at the beginning of this tour, right? And I couldn't remember where I put it. Like, and I just was like, oh, I want to put my thoughts down because I'm gonna forget what I thought at the beginning of this tour. I know I am, because I do it every time. And I was looking through, and I couldn't remember which app I put it in. So I found this one, and I thought it was it, and I started listening to it, and I was like, oh, shit, this is from Atmosphere in 2022. And so I was listening to it, like, I had no idea what I was talking about. So I'm not even clear, you know what I mean? And so I did find the one for this tour, and I didn't realize I've done so many, like, memos of my feelings, but they're not coherent thoughts. It's just like it feels like I'm kind of rambling, you know, and it's going to take me a second to dissect what I'm talking about. So I don't know how you do these podcasts, basically, when you talk by yourself, and just, I don't get it. Like, I don't know how you do that. Because I was listening to myself talk to myself, and I'm like, what's wrong with this boy?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what being a rapper is.
It's just like, man.
Being a rapper is just like incessant talking to yourself. And
so by the way, just so the audience out here knows, to know what I'm even talking about, go ahead, take your memo out and just start talking about what you're thinking about. Talk about it and just stop talking after you're done talking and listen to it the next day. If that makes sense to you, and be honest with yourself, like, seriously, this might just be an art form. Just saying. Because it's tough, you know?
Yeah, and I do it a lot.
I know you do.
And so yeah, so then like when one of the main things that got me doing it was like talking to Dr. Omar, because like he and I started doing voice notes like pretty like once we connected, like, and I just have hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, like so much of our, like for 10 years, like I've been doing that with him.
Yeah.
And just so many voice notes. And then, yeah. And then I have like a number of relationships. Like I have whole relationships that are over voice notes.
Yes, it's crazy, amazing. Yeah.
So then it's starting to do it in a podcast.
And you just...
But I used to do live too. Like I used to go live with, like before you could do it on Instagram. Like there used to be this thing called live stream, and I used to go on there. And I remember it's funny because Sage is such a big supporter of my podcast, and he used to go on those lives, and I would just sit there and talk and answer questions like by myself for hours. And I remember they used to tell me like on tour, like you're not allowed to do that. You got to save your voice. You're not allowed to do a live stream on tour.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's like things that we could tell people about the album. Like, how do you feel? I mean, I have an idea, but we've never really, like, the Satisfied Soul album. In your own thoughts, words, like, what is this album to you?
I guess wish I had a way to explain it. I don't know. There's something about, I felt like I reconnected with a certain kind of rap element of my youth. Like the true hip hop person in me, like just the basic fundamental ideas of when I started making music, especially with the certain style of scratching, the certain kinds of beats. They're more like when I first started wanting to make music. It feels like I really captured that. And that was out. And I guess I didn't even know I was going after that at first.
I wasn't thinking about that either.
Yeah, I thought, because the first couple songs we made were kind of harsh. And so I thought, oh, we're making a Death Wish record, like a revenge type thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is what we're doing, all right? Because I thought it was like some Mobb Deep stuff or something. and then the light started shining through, and then Then we started forming it around a couple songs and a couple ideas, and then expanding from there. And once the light really started shining through, I was like, oh. And there was even a couple of beats on there that was like they were supposed to be interludes to me. And then there were some very happy accidents. There was one piece of music I've been holding on to for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I made when my daughter was born. I made it, and I was holding on to it for the right moment. I was never going to give it up for nothing unless the right moment felt right to give it to somebody. So now that I'm starting to ramble here, I'm starting to remember. So it's just taking me a second to remember, you know.
Because we made it a year ago.
Has it been that long?
Yeah,
now?
We made it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we finished it.
Yeah, mixed it and all that. Yeah.
In like April.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, when I went and we did the bulk of the album was last year, June.
Yeah, the majority. Yeah.
July. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So it covered a lot of bases for me that I just didn't expect to be happening, and I think a lot of it was there was this feeling I had when I made so many other realities exist simultaneously. The fact that you were so big on that too, I think gave me the confidence to approach your record without rules and fear. You know what I mean? So I didn't have to be
because so many other realities. It was like,
I did everything.
It's a combination of all the different types of beats you do.
Yeah, it's everything
There's
I do.
like sample beats, there's replays, there's like
Yep.
stuff that you made
Made
yourself with the
synths,
keyboard,
yeah.
synth, and all that.
Yeah. Everything is on there.
There's just some that are just a loop.
Just a loop, yeah. So I was like, I approached this record in a similar way, just that with your sensibilities, because there's going to be a different sound because you're just attracted to a different way.
Yeah, like if you had to try to put that in words, like just the difference between the music I pick and the music that
you're gonna
Slug picks.
you're gonna lean toward more soulful bluesish type stuff. You're gonna lean that way. Slug is gonna go more psychedelic and arty. He's just naturally gonna go that way, you know. And I just so happen to enjoy both. Slug also likes very, very big cinematic things. He doesn't. I don't think he would know that that's what he likes, but I think he's drawn to that, you know, because it really. I think it grabs his emotional part of him, and it allows him to help express deeper feelings that he might have. And we've never even talked about this. This is something I just think that he just gravitates towards certain things. Like I know when I'm creating something, I know in 2 notes, oh, he's gonna love this. But we've been together so long, it's so easy, you know, to know that.
Like the later atmosphere music feels like one of the words that I always just think about is space.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of space musically, and there's even a lot of space lyrically. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of, which happens for a lot of artists. I mean, Miles Davis is probably the most outspoken.
Yeah.
Where he came along in bebop and all that kind of stuff. And then he just was like, man, stop playing all them damn notes.
Yeah.
And stop doing a bunch of vibrato. Play straight. Play the right notes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then, I mean, I know Quincy Jones is like one of your favorites of all time too.
Yeah.
And he talked about that too. He's like, you gotta leave space for God, man. Like he said that, like leave space for God.
Yeah.
Like leave, you know what I mean? Don't try to say everything. The song's gonna say stuff that the musicians aren't playing and the singer's not singing.
Yeah.
Leave some space there for people's, and like people usually master that as time goes. And I've done it a little bit. Like when I listen to Shadows on the Sun, like there are like vocal takes overlapping. I had to punch because things are overlapping.
Yeah.
And now stuff doesn't overlap, but there's still a lot of.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of words. It's not quite the same.
Yeah. Slug stopped overlapping a long time ago, just on the idea that he wanted to perform them live without issue.
Yeah.
That was his reasoning.
So he left space for breath.
Yeah.
And
that was his main thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think he thinks about music in an emotional way, like 100%. You know what I mean? I could think he's just expressing what he's feeling, and then, you know, he's probably emotional about it. But I'm just saying when he really hears it, like, I don't know if he's thinking about it like in that terms. But when I do things, I really do get emotional about it. You know what I mean? Like something tears at me at times. You know what I mean? And so then it depends on what that is. Well, granted, sometimes it's just a beat. You know what I mean? Like 90% of them are just beats. But then there's 10% of them that are just, it's different. I know it's different. It's not regular. I know it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I know it. So those are the ones I'm going to push here and there more often to artists if I can, you know, here and there, you know.
So what I thought, the album that I thought we were gonna make, like, so there was a lot of like hurt when I left Minneapolis, like a lot of just all the hurt feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was disappointment, betrayal. I was feeling rejection. I was feeling, you know what I mean? Like I just had so much hurt associated with leaving Minneapolis. And so I was like, okay, I knew that I was like trying to heal from that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, the first couple songs we did, like I came back just for a couple days before a tour. You still rolling?
Yeah. Sorry.
I came like a week before I started a tour or something, and it was my first time like physically being in the city. And so we made a song about leaving the city, and then I made a song about like all this just like inherited rage and all this kind of stuff. Like two hard songs. They're dope songs.
Yeah, they're dope.
They're
Yeah.
like super heavy. And I was like, man, so okay, I'm going to heal from that. I had the intention, like, I'm not just going to keep this feeling towards this whole chapter of my life. It's like, this is where I became me and all this stuff. But I felt that way. So I was like, all right. And then, but then when I booked the month in Minneapolis, I was thinking like, okay, I'm going to go back there. I'm going to spend a month. Over the course of that month, we'll make this music. I'll be in the city and I'll slowly like work all this stuff through. And then I landed, you weren't there yet. Like you were finishing a tour, but I landed a couple days early to get settled in and all this kind of stuff. And it just hit me. Like, I think it already happened. You know what I mean? Just because I realized like, okay, my family, like we moved to Istanbul, and at that point we had been there for like 2 or 3 years or something. And I'm like, oh, it worked. You know what I mean? And then like, could I run my own business? And it did. I'm like, oh, I'm here. Like me and Brendan, like we're financing this on our own. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm touring on my own. I'm recording on my own. You know what I mean? And then also I stayed by, you told me to stay near the lake. And so every day, like I would go and do my walk. Like I would go out and like walk the lake. And so I was like having that whole kind of thing. And I'm just like, man, so we made Handwriting, the song that became Handwriting. That's what that is.
Yeah.
It's me being like, oh, it all worked out. You know what I'm saying? And I just, you know. But then the song that you mentioned is, so when this comes out, you know, people can see the way that Mello put it on the streaming services. You can see all the titles of the songs.
Okay, yeah.
But just the 5 are streaming out of the 17. So the last song on there is called "Sing Myself Whole," and that's the one that you were talking about.
Yeah, that
like
made 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So you showed me that music, and you basically, there was like a speech.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, I made this, one of my favorite things I ever made.
Yeah.
Nobody gets to rap on it unless it's perfect. It means as much to me as anything else. And then
No pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no pressure. But
And I can't. So I think you had to go do a show.
Yeah, I think I had a one-off for the weekend or something.
Which kind of reminds me of Dear Black Sun.
Yeah, the same thing happened with that.
Yeah, because I had the words for Dear Black Sun, but there was no music for it.
Yeah, but you had an idea for music, though.
Yeah.
You did have something. You had a few different versions.
Yeah.
So I knew a general idea of where to go. Now, when I made the music for Dear Black Sun, though, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just going, oh, this piano piece right here that I have that Graham replayed and just turned into his own thing. And then we did the brushes. We did all the things. And then as it was going, I was, oh, I know the song this is.
Because we were in the Bay together. So we spent a month together in the Bay doing All the Beauty in His Whole Life.
Yep.
I flew to Chicago to do a speaking thing.
And I did that beat while you were gone. Yep.
Yeah.
But then it hit me like, oh, this is just a enhanced version of something he already had.
Yeah.
And I knew it. So I was like, okay, when he gets there, that'll be good. You know what I mean? I knew that. You know what I mean? Because I already knew the words, kind of. You know? At least I knew the subject. So.
Yeah. So then this one, you gave me that music, and then you went to like Alaska, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
I feel like it was like you went to Alaska with like Sa Rock and Soul Messiah. And yeah. And so while you were there, I was like, okay, this has to really be, you know what I mean? Because you basically were like, you try it, but you're not allowed to feel like, you can't get married. Like if you do a song, if it's not exactly it, I reserve the right to take this music. I'll just put it back on
just can't be attached to it. Like don't be attached to it so much that you think this is yours. Because a lot of times I give beats to people and they think they're theirs already.
Right.
No. And you know, and I don't sell beats per se, you know what I mean? But it's not your beat just because I let you record a rap on it.
Right.
It's not yours until it's out. You know, that's a misconception in this business. You know what I mean? But anyway, with you, it was like, I was like, of course I trust you do great, but I was like, and we were having struggles, kind of.
Yeah.
You were like, I need that one joint, and I was like, man, I didn't know if we were ready for that either, because we were making all this superb hip hop rap stuff. I was like, let's just, in my brain, I was like, keep it this way.
Yeah.
If there's going to be something sensitive, let it happen.
Yeah.
Organically.
Yeah.
So I felt like there was all of a sudden there was this weird pressure to do this sensitive jam, and I'm like, okay, you want that, or here? But I'm telling you now,
right?
If you don't do this right, I'm taking it. I can't help it. I don't care. And I remember specifically, I've said this about this 100 times. I don't care if this music never even sees the light of day. It doesn't have to. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's important to me that if it's out in the world, it's presented the proper way. I've held on to it for 10 years because I didn't know if anybody had been going through enough to deserve this music.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Like I just felt like I don't know the person yet. You know what I mean? That this fits into. You know what I mean? Because it was made at that time for me where it was, maybe when the average person hears it right now, they're not going to hear what I put into it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I know what it means to me.
Because around the time that your daughter was born, I mean, that's when your whole life changed.
Yeah, my whole life changed. I got sobriety and tried to figure out a different way of looking at the entire world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's what that piece of music...
That's what it represents to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell you that.
No.
At the time. You could just assume.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's very rare that you'll talk like that.
Yeah.
About a piece of music.
Yeah, I was like, this means a lot, you know. And I have a few of those things, but that was one of them, you know.
Yeah.
I had another one that was kind of like that too, and that was the music to Virgo.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of strong like that too. It was like it meant so much to me. You know what I mean? Like it was like, I didn't give Slug the big spiel, but I did cross my fingers. You know what I mean? Like,
what about Camera Thief?
I knew that was a great thing, you know what I mean? That we had did, but I wasn't worried about, you know, oh, you got to do the perfect thing. I didn't think about it like that. Okay. I knew that it could still be just a traditional abstract rap song, and it would be fine. I knew that. It didn't have to be about anything necessarily. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So this one, so you gave me the song, and then you went to Alaska.
Yeah.
And I had a proper studio mic set up at your house.
Yeah.
But then at the Airbnb, I had a podcast mic.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would sometimes do demos, and I was recording podcasts and stuff like that. And so, but that's what I had at the thing. And so I went back and I was like, man, I'm gonna try to sing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is like, man, it could go anywhere or whatever, you know what I mean? So I recorded what I thought would be a demo, and I was like, I can't stop crying, writing these words. And then I couldn't stop crying, recording them. You know what I mean? And so then you came back, and I was so nervous to show it to you. And so I turned it on, and but also it's kind of like we were saying earlier, I didn't want you to feel pressure to like it. You know what I mean? So I played it, and I walked around the corner. And I was like, you know what I mean? Because I was also like, man, I might get emotional listening to this. And I didn't want you to see how much I had put into it, but not like it.
Yeah.
And then have that conflict of having to take it back or something.
Yeah.
And so 4 bars. So you were on the other side of the basement, and I was around the corner.
Yeah.
And then 4 bars in, you were like, I'll just put you out of your misery. This is great. This is it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. This is it.
And it was funny because the reason too, I felt this strange, soothing uncomfortableness. I felt oh my God, the soul of this is beyond the beyond the sonics. You know what I mean?
Because I'm not singing on key at all.
It's
so wrong.
Yeah, and I was just that's perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
And it's funny because also one of the things you had said is because we were talking about the spirit of some of the older music we made, and you were like, when you just sang wrong, it was way better. And you told me like then once you started like learning something about producing and notes, and once you started trying to get it right, it actually started to we lost it. Like
Yeah.
the it was good when you just sang wrong and confidently and like
Just confidently having fun with it or whatever, or
Yeah.
spilling your guts out or whatever. You know? I feel that way a lot about certain parts of my music sometimes, you know, when I wasn't thinking, you know, drums just all over the place and just whatever, there was something just moving about it, you know, or harsh or whatever the case is, but there was something to it, you know.
Yeah.
And
It's like
as
something human and true.
Yeah, and as I've learned more and more, and it's like, you know, some of it gets a different kind of.
Man,
Yeah.
it's though there was just this thing that I saw yesterday, or maybe today with Baptiste,
Okay.
the jazz guy that Randy toured with.
Yeah.
Is it John Baptiste?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he was saying he was talking about the blues, and he was playing the blues on the piano, and he was like the bass line for the blues is a train. He's like it's like, and he said. Music from a period sounds like the like technology of the time. Like we only have recorded music since the Industrial Revolution, and it all sounds like what's the main technology of the time.
Sure.
So he was saying like boom dum 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 dum. He's like that's a train. You know what I mean? He's like the music now all sounds like a phone and a computer. You know what I mean? And he's like, and if you go back through every period of time, you know what I'm saying? And I started thinking about it like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? I guess like certain music sounds like the cars that were out at that time.
That's interesting.
Or like certain music sounds like the music we grew up on sounds like a boombox. It sounds like a ghetto blaster. You know what I mean? Or it sounds like certain things sound like a turntable. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can never think about Curtis Mayfield music without seeing a long like Cadillac or like a long car.
Yeah. That's interesting. I can't, you know, I can't deny that when I hear what you're saying right there. But usually I think about so many artists are always trying to make these grand analogies of music and try to make them make sense to people that they say craziness, you know, and this outlandish things.
Yeah.
And it's just like sometimes just let it be what it be.
Yeah.
But that's pretty good.
Well, I just say that to say that like now the things that people make their music on, it fixes it for you.
Yeah.
Like it's all built in.
Yeah.
That it quantizes everything.
Yeah. Perfection is right there. Yeah.
So like on most of the digital things that you make music on now, like the Serato one is really dope. But like if you put a record in, and if it's out of tune, it just puts it in tune for you unless you tell it not to. And then if you put another record in, it puts it in that same key.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like if you make a beat in the Serato thing, it automatically puts everything in key.
Wow.
Whereas like all the stuff that we've made or that you've made, like the music is usually it's either sped up on a turntable first, which is never going to be in key.
Yeah.
And then it goes into a sampler where it happens again. And so it's just like nothing's ever in key and nothing's ever, and like you don't quantize your drums. And you know what I mean? So like all of that stuff, like the imperfection of it, the humanity of it is always.
That's trippy. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just another thing that like the separation of like all the music now is all like the technology of all of it makes it perfect.
Yeah.
Like most people, it just Pro Tools is just, Auto-Tune is on as just, it's a preset in the studio now. Like people do everything through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that song, I'm trying to think if there's any other things to.
I'm almost like, too, you know, it's kind of, I don't know about you, but it feels like, you know, if we break the whole record down before anybody, they could listen to this before they even hear the music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a slippery slope, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go like song for song.
Yeah,
like that.
But, you know, it was definitely
But I've been saying like whenever I'm always like new classics.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's how it felt to me. It's so like hearing you say that too is like there's something about, and there's a song on there, Higher Learning at the Skyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like something about that, like the way that music sounds,
Yeah.
that made me just think about like that particular period. I was thinking about like right after high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even like maybe that was still high school for me, like when Higher Learning came out.
Yeah.
But like that particular period, and and there's people that have said like, man, this feels like music that you guys made, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that beat, I normally would never would have done something like that. Something so basically like familiar sounding. Like
Yeah.
it has this. I don't want to talk too much about
Right.
what it is, but it's like there's something about it that's familiar to other things.
Yeah.
And it's pretty blatant.
Yeah.
And I would normally not have done that, but I just felt like it really, really had to be. And I kind of feel like I pushed that one on you a little bit too. I was like, yeah, do that. You really got to do this one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it's pretty dope.
And then also those songs where they're just rapping.
Yeah.
Like especially like the first song on the record, I wrote it, and there's a number of them where I tried to like you made me use the demo.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it was like that for a lot of the songs. Like a lot of the songs, like I'd recorded a first version, and then went back to re-record them, and you're just like, nope,
dude. There was that one. I wanted you to just use I wanted the music to be off the phone version.
That's right.
Because you just wrapped into the phone.
Yeah. So one of the days, So I tested positive for COVID in the last week.
Okay.
So we didn't get to see each other for the last like 4 days or something.
Yeah.
I don't think I had COVID. But I
I
took a test and it said I did. So I was like, all right, let me just do what they say to do.
Yeah.
So I stayed in the Airbnb until it didn't test positive anymore. But so one of the songs was just rapping, and I didn't even turn the podcast mic on. I was just sitting in front of the computer just because I wanted to show you what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I was holding the phone like I'm doing right now and just played the music. Yeah.
It's dope because I think I was like, oh yeah, this is dope how it is. I was like, whatever, and I played it for Bill.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I think this might be tight just like this. And he was like, yeah, you should just put it out like that.
Yeah.
And he just gave me the confidence to think, yeah, we should just put it out just like this. And I thought even the music, because I was like, who cares? The music's just this dumbass loop anyway. But now I'm glad it is what it is because, like, it has more lasting power like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should put the cell phone version on the...
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, like put that out at some point.
Yeah, put it on the B side of a 45 or something.
But yeah, it's dope. And I'm saying, and like, man, like the whole time we were making this, I was just like, man, we're masters of this. Like it all happened very easily.
Yeah.
Like the whole album happened really. Like there were some things that we had to like sit with.
Yeah.
But there was really no like big misses or like...
Yeah.
Usually, like, I'll try some things that are just, like, way wrong.
Yeah.
Or there'll be something that's just like, nah, that wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it was a good try, but, like, no.
Yeah, let's just keep it moving.
Yeah, and on this one, there was nothing like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super fun. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, everything felt like it came really easy. Like, there was just so many times of us making this record where I was, like you gave me a beat. I would sit maybe for a couple hours during the day or something to like come back and then had the mic set up at your house, record the song in just a few takes.
Yeah.
And it was done, and then just play it back, and I would just be like, we're very good at this. Like I was like almost every song, I was like, we're very, very good at this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like man, it was just such a great feeling. You know what I mean? And then one of the songs you gave me the music for it, and I knew it had to be like a singing thing for Head Heart Hands. That's a song that's out.
Yeah.
That people know. So like you gave me that music, and I had the whole like chorus in my head, like just the sound of it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out like what to do on it.
Yeah.
Like that was probably the one that it was like it sat
Undone for a long time.
Yeah, the longest time. That was the only one really like that.
Because the beat was just a loop for a interlude piece.
Okay.
At best.
Yeah.
I think I was gonna do for one of my collections of sounds thing. I was gonna do a psychedelic one of them was gonna be more rock stuff, based like psychedelic-y rock kind of stuff. And I didn't do that. I ended up doing something else, but that's what one of the volumes is going to be, and that was going to be the lead intro.
Okay.
And I played it for you for whatever reason, because I guess we were just looking for things. I play you tons of stuff. At times. Sometimes there's I have something in mind, and you have something in mind, so we get to that. But sometimes you just randomly go through all the stuff, and yeah. So when you heard that and wanted it, I was like, oh, I guess I could see it, especially because you had a hook idea instantly.
Yeah, because I was going, soul, but I thought it was a rock song. I was like, what song is this? This is a rock song.
Yeah, I was like,
because I don't know rock like that.
Yeah. Oh, this is some Neil Young shit.
That's I thought it was definitely I thought
something like that.
Yeah, I thought for sure. And then I sent it to my friend. All these songs we were making these, I sent them all to Yasin Bey. Like every time we'd make them, and then I sent them all to this man named Imam Shane, Chaplain Shane.
Okay.
Who's from Mississippi. But he also like loves so like it's funny, like you guys need to meet each other.
Okay.
Because he's the other guy that I know that's like, man, but he's from Mississippi, so he talks like that. He talks so dope.
Yeah.
He's like, man, that DJ Cheese, man. He's like, man, when that came out, that was a big deal.
Oh yeah, we were the same in that regard.
Yeah. You guys are like very, very similar.
Yeah. It's funny because I use "woo" in the live set.
Oh yeah.
I use that. The DJ Cheese. Well, it's from T-Ski Valley, but DJ Cheese popularized "woo."
Okay.
Woo 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 woo. So you can tell your dude that I use that in my respect for DJ Cheese in our live set.
Dope.
Yeah.
Anyway. But so like all the songs when I made them, I sent them to those two guys.
Yeah.
Because I knew that each one of them would give me some sort of feedback that would help me understand. Like,
yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one particularly, I sent that beat to him and me singing the chorus, and I was like, "What is this?" Because he would know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, "It just sounds like a rock song." You know what I mean? It's just not any particular one. It's just
yeah.
That's what like classic or like southern rock just sounds like.
Yeah.
And then, but I couldn't figure out like, what do I say? What do I do? And then Ramadan came. So like we finished this album in Ramadan. And so I was like at the night prayers in Istanbul. You go, you know what I mean? At nighttime, it's like they recite a 30th of the Quran every night in prayer. Like you stand and it's like you're there for like 2 hours. It's dope. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And I'm standing there, and for some reason, that's one of the things that they talk about with in Islam. There's like very near the end of the Prophet Muhammad's life, somebody came to him and asked him about the 3 aspects of Islam. And so one is theology, and one is practice, and then one is like spirituality. And so somebody, maybe it's me, I don't know, but it was either me or the guy that wrote this book that I used to teach about like basics of Islam, that said those 3 things are basically your head and your heart and your hands. Like, what do you believe? What do you do? And then how are you in the inside? And I was thinking to myself, like, I'm trying to get my head right, heart right. And
that's
so
amazing.
I stood there for 2 hours, and he's like, I'm praying, and the Quran is being recited. I'm supposed to be focusing, and people that think we shouldn't make music are going to hear this and think it's. But I don't. That's what happened, and like, man, I wrote the song in my head, and I was just waiting for like, man, as soon as it's over, I have to go write this down.
Yeah.
And I just kept repeating it, and it reminds me also of the song "Own Light." Like I was on a silent retreat. Where like you couldn't write anything, you couldn't say anything, you couldn't look at people, you couldn't make eye contact with people.
Yeah.
It's a silent retreat. And I had the music for Own Light for a minute too.
Yeah.
And I like wrote it. It came to me like when I'm supposed to be in a silent retreat.
Oh man.
And I had to like wait. I had to just keep saying it in my head until.
Oh man.
You know what I mean?
That's
until
something.
the retreat is over.
I don't think I heard that one. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. In the Bay area.
Oh yeah. That's tight.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that, and I think that Head, Heart, Hands was the last song I think finished,
It was either that or
it was
the
close.
name of the one.
Oh yeah, one of those two. It's funny because both of those musics, I was almost like musics. I'm the worst, but like I was like, we didn't need either at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We made 18 songs.
Yeah.
It was just like, we kept joking. We're trying to fill a CD up.
Yeah. Keep going. And it's funny because both of those pieces were so much were kind of. They had their own stories. The Head Heart Hands, there was so much added after the fact. Because it was literally just a loop. And then, so it was like, oh, I guess we better add a drum to it. And then, oh, I guess we could add some guitar. I guess Joe should do some oohs and ahs. You know what I mean? Make it a product. I guess I should scratch on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it just built into something that the intention was to be just on the loop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but just explored the options of how can we expand it to something more.
Yeah.
And now when it's done, I'm glad we did.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Because
And it's funny because like that particular guitar sound is one of my least favorite sounds.
Yeah. And that was the guitar. I wasn't going for that sound. Okay. I wanted. There's something when we did a lot on the Southsiders record where it's more of a Motown sound, which I don't like the Motown sound, but there's a guitar sound in Motown records that I do like. I was going for that, and I even expressed to Coop to play that way, but that's not what he did. Maybe he misunderstood what I was asking, but I was like, there's something about this though that might be better. In a way, it just has to be mixed properly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
well, that guitar sound is like how you are with most saxophones.
Yeah,
where like if you hear a saxophone, like you probably wouldn't.
I'm probably not going to touch it. It has to be a certain soulfulness to the saxophone.
Yeah,
it has to be
because there are some.
Yeah, there is. Because I've done it before. Yeah. I've done it here and there.
Yeah, and actually, there's a saxophone beat that I can't remember that just like resurfaced somewhere.
There's one I did. I did on the
like there's one where
Strictly
Slug
Leakage.
talks about
Strictly Leakage.
A father like getting his baby ready, and then he goes down.
That one.
Then he goes downstairs to package heroin.
Yep,
it's ill.
Yeah, it's great.
And I remember wanting that beat. Like when I heard that beat, I was like, "Oh man."
Yeah.
And then you were like, "No, Slug has something for that."
Yeah,
and I was like, kind of funky until I heard it. Then when I heard it, I'm like, "Oh, this is perfect."
Yeah. It's one of his great idea raps, you know what I mean? Meaning he had a great idea and just like, oh, wow. But there's another one around from that same time period. I think it's Little Matthew. It's a real funky kind of sax, you know what I mean? And it has to be a certain way for us.
Does the term Little Matthew come from something?
I'm sure it does, but I can't remember.
Cause there's like this white battle rap guy, Iron Solomon. That he had like a period where he was like the dude.
Okay.
And he battled a guy named Math Hoffa, who has that. If you've seen that podcast where the hip hop guys are in a barber shop. Mm. Have you ever seen that one? It's called My Expert Opinion. But Math Hoffa was like this really dope like battle rapper.
Okay.
And it still is, but like he has got a podcast now. So anyway, those two guys battled, and it was like a big deal. Mm. But his name's Math, and so Iron Solomon kept saying, Little Matthew.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wonder.
I would seriously doubt it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Slug would do that. You know?
No. Slug would not do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Iron Solomon listens to us.
Oh.
But I kind of feel like there probably was a book or something or a movie or
there's
something.
Probably something,
that I just don't know about.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the saxophone has to be I can't just use anything.
Yeah.
It has to be very specific.
And I'm not big on electric guitars that sound like that.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, for me, I'm just not into that.
But that was not the guitar I was going for. But it just turned out that it was...
Yeah.
It worked, but...
So, like, if that had been on that beat initially...
You might not have used it.
I wouldn't have known. I would just have not even... My ears would have turned off.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't super happy about it when it happened, but
you just let me do it. I think.
Yeah.
Just trusted me.
Because always with music, with the musical side of things, I'm always like, yeah.
You know, and I'm still not for certain that was... There was another better way to do that. Like, I still wonder what that was in my head would have been better or just a different kind of different. But this worked in a good, solid, unique way. We didn't have anything like it.
Yeah.
The thing I was going for, we've done before. Or
Okay.
I've definitely done before, like I said, on Southsiders and things like that with Coop. So I've explored that stuff before.
You talking about the sound, whole South Side been up in your guts?
Nope, not that sound.
Okay.
It's how would I? There's no way I could explain the song. There's one of the last songs on Southsiders, and there's a guitar in the hook. Do you want respect or do you want truth?
Okay.
It's in the hook, and then the guitar goes along with it.
It's a woman singing it.
Yes, but
do you want respect or do you want truth?
Yeah, but there's a guitar going with it. So anybody out there that's curious about the sound I really wanted to go for, it's that.
Okay.
And I call that more. It's like that's the Motown guitar that they would use sometimes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But it's like, cause you listen to an album every day when you're making it, and then after that you just can't. You're so happy to take a break, but then when it comes out, you go back to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when that happened, I was like, oh, okay, now I love it.
Yeah. Now it's just the moment. Yeah. When I hear it every time we play it live, it's just like, oh yeah, I think about it differently too.
Yeah.
You know, and the crazy thing about the other jam that was the last one, the other one we were just talking about.
The name of the one.
Name of the one is when I finished that beat, Slug had asked me, hey, send me a few things. And normally it's one at a time. We've been one at a time for years now. He doesn't hear all my beats no more like he used to. He's like, he's over it. Just give me the one you want me to do. Okay. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's so tight. It's like one of my favorite things of all time. Like, seriously, the one I want, like, it's hard to pick sometimes, but I get to have a song. Like, do you know how many people just, all right, yeah, use this one. And he does it. You know what I mean? But, so I sent him the name of the one beat, but there was a few others.
Okay.
And there was like that particular day, because he wanted a variety of things because he had something in mind.
Okay.
So I gave him that and a couple other things to hear. And he was like, oh, these are all dope, whatever they were. He liked them all. He's like, I'm really going for this. I can't remember which one he picked. He was going for this one. And he was like, you should give this one. This sounds like a Brother Ali joint already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I thought I told you that at the time.
Maybe.
But it's hard to remember under the circumstances. So I was like, but in my head, I was like, this just sounds like blues stuff that Ali's already done to death with me anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure, but I'm going to play it and just see what happens. Because I liked it a lot. I knew it was dope.
Yeah.
I knew that. But it was, so I give credit to Slug a little bit on that one. He was like, show this to Ali.
So Slug and Yasin. So you sent me the music.
Yeah.
And then when you sent me that music, I was on the phone with Yasin.
Okay.
Because the Love and Service album came out and it felt like it was getting blocked by everybody.
Okay.
And Yasin said, he said, you know why they're doing this? He called me. He's like, because he'll just have these like things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll be like, he'll call and be like, I had a dream about you. And this is what happens, and this is what I think it means for you. That's the kind of friend he is.
Yeah.
Or he'll just be like, you just tell him something, and he'll think about it a lot, kind of.
Yeah.
Like he's very like attentive, caring, like friend. He told me one time, I had a dream, and in the dream you could see. This is years ago. He's like, and you're like, you weren't overweight and you weren't albino. And I was like, it's funny. I was like, oh, was I black? Because now that's my dream. But he was like, no, you just were like not albino. He's like, you still were you.
Yeah.
But he's like, you were tall and you were, you know what I mean?
That's
so
great.
I told Dr. Omar, and he said, that is you in the garden. That's what you will look like in paradise. And I was like, oh, man. But so he called me and he's like, yeah, this is happening to you because you're dangerous, because you're the real thing. And he said, they know that they didn't make you, so they can't break you. Poets are born, they're not made. And so that's when a poet is born, it isn't made. Outgrowing a hate, because you know you never break what you didn't create. Can't imitate a clone in a state. Fool's gold is only safe till they open the safe. There's a token. So I'm like, right after we got off the phone, I just recorded it. And then I sent it to him. I sent it to you and him.
Oh, that's great.
And I was like, yeah, I should give you a writing credit on this one. Because it literally was like 20 minutes after we got off the phone. And
Oh,
he goes, when did you do this? And I was like, I just did it right now. I was like,
That's
I'm sitting on the
tight.
couch in my studio when you called me about to try to figure this song out.
So Slug produced that, and
Yasin
Yasin wrote it.
Yeah, man. So
Because
they
I
work-
don't,
so
cause
they
I don't know
work
if I would have
together.
showed you that beat with any kind of major thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about it like makes me excited. Because well, I was already excited about it anyway, you know. But you know, just talking about it, there's a lot of things I've kind of started forgetting already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Refreshing this in my brain.
Yeah. And then the other songs that are out, I'm just thinking about which ones are out. So like Deep Cuts.
Yeah.
Deep Cuts I wrote to a different beat. Do you remember?
I don't
There
remember
was
that.
one that was I actually did it before I started playing with that before you got home.
Okay.
Cause yeah, when I came to Minneapolis, it was like 3 or 4 days that you were still on the road. But I did it on purpose because I'm like, I'm gonna need a few days to get settled in anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I started writing that over a thing that had these like, it was like a lot of space. The sample wasn't much, and the drums were really.
Yeah,
It was like that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was dark.
Yeah,
The music had a darker edge to it.
yeah,
Because it was more like a chop thing. It was like, yeah, just a chop.
yeah.
But the drums are dope.
But the drums were like the bitch slap drums more.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
more like that, or like watch out kind of style.
They were like, yep, totally.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use those drums on something.
No, that whole beat is ill. But
Yeah.
yeah, those drums especially, that's why I was like, I want to rap on these drums.
Yeah, that's why you did it. Yep. So yeah, when we did and once you did that, I was like, oh man. I got some musicians to play a little bit on there just to fill it out, but it didn't need anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you told me you were like, these words are better than the music.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, the drums made me rap like that. And you're like, yeah, cool, but the music isn't.
It's not. It felt like this is something I've done. It had the same chord progression as I've done a million times, and it just had a lot of it had a gospel feel that we've done before.
Well, no, you talking about like what it ended up being.
No, when we first started, yeah, what it ended up being, but how it started,
Yeah.
with just the fundamental part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I still wanted to add some stuff, and then the scratching is what made me be like, oh, I've really contributed now.
Yeah.
Well, granted, I got some musicians to do some stuff on there, but putting the scratch on there made me be like, oh, this is taking it away from, you know what I mean? Maybe the average person wouldn't see it that way. They still hear the same old chord progression or whatever, or gospel sample, whatever. But in my mind, no. I was able to tie it in with what you were saying in the hook and the love between us, and I was like, oh man, I always wanted to. I like scratching this thing right here because I always messed around with the scratch I used. I've always kind of tinkered with that a little bit, so I was like,
I guess we should.
Yeah. We don't have to focus on that, but yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's some old school rap stuff, you know what I mean? You know, that's what
I always
it
thought
is.
it was like a Bible record or something.
Oh no, that's old school rap stuff from like 80. Yep.
Because it is like there's a similar kind of thing in the Bible, like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
In the beginning was the Word. I think that is from the Bible.
Yeah.
And in the beginning was dark, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and
Okay,
the
yeah.
Word was with God, and things like that. Like
yeah.
that's
I see what you're saying.
I
But
feel like
to me,
Genesis has
I
something
know
like
it. I know it so in and out because
Yeah.
it's so old school rap stuff. So that's
Okay.
that's how I know it. But that's just like a lot of that. A lot of stuff is like that, you know.
It comes from something.
Comes from something.
Yeah.
Like the one, like that Dougie Fresh thing on Nothing when the impossible when he does the big, we the unknowing and all that stuff is. I don't know if it was some weird AI stuff or what, but there's like Frank Sinatra doing it years ago, like in the 60s or 50s or something.
Man, I never knew that, like, because like KRS-One, all his early hooks are him like singing other things.
Yeah, Beatles and Billy Joel or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, so many things. So like, we all know Nobody Beats the Biz.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I got married to a woman from New York that there's a store called The Wiz, and it's Nobody Beats the Wiz, and he just made it Nobody Beats the Biz. I just never knew that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, all like a lot of that like stuff that KRS is singing, like I didn't know those songs.
Yeah.
And so I only knew KRS-One singing them, and then I think a lot of people, when you realize that a lot like the first time you hear a song that like your favorite rap song sampled or something, you'd be like, oh man, they just took this.
Yeah.
But
yeah, then you come to just be like, it's just you look at it different. I guess I've just always known for you know what I mean, for the most part, and when I first heard KRS-One do that stuff, I knew they were. I didn't know exactly where they were from, but I knew that they were radio songs from the 70s. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I knew childhood just hearing things.
yeah.
I just knew the melodies and stuff. So
Yeah, I think some of those songs are like the ones that we released. Like I wanted to release those specific songs because except for handwriting, the sound of them I feel like is a good indication of like the vibe of the record. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think the ones you just picked out. You're talking about the ones just now.
Yeah, handwriting is the only one that doesn't sound like anything we've done before.
Yeah,
really.
and seems to be the least popular too, or something.
It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I thought you did a good picking of the representation of what the whole thing sounds like. You know,
there's hard rap songs on there that we didn't get those.
Yeah,
we didn't get the like straight up like just bars of fury type.
Yeah, but the name of the one has that to me in a way, but it's so short that it's hard to, and it's so topic based that it's hard to think about it like that. But if you just overall if you step back, it's just a hardcore rap song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I can't wait for I can't wait for the song "Satisfied Soul," like the first song on the record.
Yeah.
The "Higher Learning at the Skyway" and "Immortalized."
Yeah. Well, yeah, those.
Like, man, that
is fine MCing right there.
Man, I'm just like, man.
Yeah.
I'm all the way. Yeah, I did my big one, man. I'm all the way in my bag. On those songs.
Yeah.
Like, man, all three of them. And I love because like when I re-recorded the first song, the Satisfied Soul song, like I wrote it, sent it to you. You're like, it's perfect. Don't redo it. And then I tried to redo it because I'm like, no, I want to emphasize it. And it felt so good. Like what you said, you were like, no. You were like cussing at me. You were like, no, motherfucker. Like, people need to know how easy this is for you. Because like the take that's on there is just me walking through it. And you're like, no, that's not fair that it's that easy for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But then the Immortalized one, that's the one that I recorded on the phone.
Yeah, that I wanted to, let's just put out like this.
For the same reason.
Same thing,
Because it's like, you called me, you were like, did you just wrap that into your phone? I was like, yeah. And you're like, so you couldn't punch in or do anything? I'm like, no, I just had to spit the whole thing. Yeah.
It's like, dude.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, that's one of I'm like, that verse, I'm like, man, Black Thought or anybody great could come after that. And I'm just fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just so good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's tight, man.
Yeah. It feels good to have something that you're like, man, I can't wait for people to hear this. And then you just hope that people do hear it. That's the
next trick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But that's like the life of being like an underground thing.
Yeah.
It's like making things that you just can't wait to share with people. And then you put it out and nobody even knows it happens.
Yeah. Story of my life. Yeah. Story of my life, man. I feel like it all the time.
Especially at this phase.
Yeah.
Especially like when your fans aren't just sitting around waiting for a new rap record.
That's the least thing on their mind. You know what I mean? There's this. They got a lot of other stuff going on. You know. And
I remember when we were making Undisputed Truth. Like at that time, I was living in Uptown, and we would always work in the middle of the night. Well, you always work in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And so I remember driving home one time, listening just to whatever we had made that day, and being like, in a few months, this will be in these people's cars. Like it'll be in all the, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
I was like living in the neighborhood where people were
Playing that stuff.
yeah, like I would hear my own music all the time. And I remember thinking like, man, this is going to be, I'm going to hear this.
Yeah.
Like people just don't know. We're making the music that they're about to live to.
And those people right then and there, they were all in their late 20s. Now they're in their early 40s maybe, late 30s.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
They're not worried about no rap music.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes they hear about something, they get to it, at times.
Yeah.
They just have to treat it differently.
But I mean, I just feel like, man, every great musician goes through that. Like, you know what I mean? I wonder, like, Al Green made an album with Questlove.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, dude, this is not being received the same way as Love and Happiness was. You know what I mean? But like, he clearly is like, when you listen to that album, you're like, man, he's inspired.
I totally forgot that even happened.
That's what I'm saying.
And I remember when it did, and I was like, oh, I should check that out. And I don't think I ever did.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah.
But there's things like that happen all the time. I remember
Jack White.
Yeah, produced something for like Tammy Wynette or something crazy. I was like, dude, I should hear that. Never got around to it. You know what I mean?
Did you ever see when he was on Saturday Night Live? He filled in for somebody. I can't remember who it was. Somebody like, I forgot. Something like somebody like wouldn't get a COVID test or something like that.
Okay.
Or like wouldn't, I forgot what it was. But it was during the pandemic. And he filled in last minute, and it was him and two dudes. It was like a guitar or something. It was like he was on drums, and it was like two. It's one of the dopest things I ever saw in my life.
Really? Yeah. Wow.
I never saw a rock thing like that before. And I didn't realize that he had written a song that was on Beyonce Lemonade. I just didn't know it. But he did it. Like, he sang the song. And it was just like, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's tight. I have to check it out. I have to YouTube it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard for people to keep up, So, hopefully people will check this thing out.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we got, we're at about almost 2 hours, hour 45, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Just probably chop it down to an hour. Yeah.
Something like that. You cool with this? Anything that you don't like that you said that we were...
I said a bunch of idiotic stuff. I just can't remember what they were now. Hopefully when,
I might do this one myself, honestly.
Okay.
I might edit this one myself.
And if you hear me saying something just where it's not coherent, maybe just skip it. Just hop right over it into the next thing. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? But
I didn't see any of it that way, but I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I felt like there was times I wasn't clear. But I usually think that when I'm doing these things. Yeah. But yeah. 'Cause I don't normally feel that way just in regular life. I do feel like people misunderstand me all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And usually I'm fine with it, though. Because who cares? You know what I mean? It's one person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And usually they're thinking so highly of me that their thought is better than mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most people think kind of highly of me.
Right.
They think I said something smart. It's like, no, I was just fucking around, man.
I mean, yeah. I think that there should be a lot more of you talking and just your... Yeah. I think there should be a lot more of that.
Like I'm saying, I'm trying to let it happen more. I'm trying to put myself out there. Just like with making the music, I've released, the instrumental stuff,
Okay, all right.
Forget about that.
That should be talked about. That should be talked about.
Yeah, I forgot that happened.
Yeah. Okay, so you started releasing the collection of sounds.
Yeah.
It's 4 volumes, and you were actually compiling those when we were working on this album too. A lot of them were done, but
Yeah, a lot of it was done. Yeah, I just it became like a little. It started one way, like I was gonna do a compilation of rappers and whatever, and that beat I was holding on to was gonna be for that. I didn't know who, obviously, because there was like I had a small idea of a certain artist I was hoping to get, but I wasn't holding my breath. Yeah. And as I realized with this, because I don't know artists, I don't know anybody, I was like, getting these people, I'm relying on my label people to get a hold of people to do things for them at some level.
Yeah.
They don't even know who I am for the most part. They barely know who Atmosphere is, I feel like. So it's like, okay, this is going nowhere fast. Even though I even had like these 12 beats that I had Joe kind of do a light mix. Didn't do I just said, hey, just do your basic thing. Give me the budget mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you sent one of them. I think I had 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised because I did.
But I haven't heard him show up. I haven't heard that one show. There was one in particular. There was a gospel thing that I haven't heard show up on anything yet.
Yeah, I haven't explored those. They got their treatment and they've been just sitting on a shelf, all of them. And Slug has used one now, and then you've used one. But that was, I felt like, this is going nowhere fast. So then somehow just talking with Kevin Beecham a lot and just coming to the idea that maybe it could be, once again, with the way the sonics of so many other realities live simultaneously. That record, the realities record, I call it, I was like, I can do anything. And so I could do things from some little demo thing from the 90s that I have a 4-track.
Yeah,
right next to
cassette
that I did right next to something polished that I made with Coop.
Yeah.
Right next to something I just made last night on the ASR-10.
Yeah.
They could all go together. And if I mix them myself in a very basic way, I didn't spend time on it. I'm just going to give it the fundamental, this is how I show a rapper something.
Okay.
The basic thing. I don't do anything special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I did. And as I went, I was like, I'm going to make 4 volumes. And I was like, and I had an idea for that. The main thing too was the cover concept. The cover concept was with me and Beecham talking about the celluloid old record covers from the 80s when we were kids. There was a French record label called Celluloid Records that would do the backs of their records were this graffiti. And there were different rap artists, there were different artists in general that would do things that they weren't meant to do, kind of like Fab Five Freddy rapping. A graffiti artist named Futura, doing a single, and DST, who my favorite artist technically when got me started doing what I do. So all that stuff, and on the backs of the first 4 record covers was this graffiti that if you put the records together, by Futura, made this beautiful piece of art, And it's very abstract and you have to really see it and, and it's like, not a lot of people know about that.
Yeah.
So that was the start of, okay, well, I do a record, that's what I want to do. I want to make this piece of art that you put it together and it's just an inside scoop kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was the basic idea. And I was like, 4 different things is easy.
Because then you start thinking about like
category.
trying to create some sort of like kind of general theme.
Yeah, general theme. So I connect it through the art, and then the front cover would be like a Blue Note-ish kind of library record kind of thing. So not totally Blue Note, but everybody loves the basic Blue Note thing, and then library records kind of a thing. So it has that fundamental, the back art with the painting puzzle piece, and then musically, kind of the easiest part would be, I could do one record dark stuff, one stuff, the fly stuff I've done with felt, one dub style record with just reggae style beats or whatever, dub stuff, and I was gonna do the psychedelic one.
For the fourth one?
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna do. I ended up going a different route, but that's what I was intending to do. And I was gonna put like Vietnam stuff in there and stuff like cats talking about Vietnam and shit. And it was just like that's a whole different record. I thought that's gonna be something I'm gonna do some other day where because that's a whole different record. It's a whole different concept.
It's supposed to be like some kind of acid trip or something.
Yeah, it's kind of about Roach from Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
I'm going to dedicate it to that Roach from Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
That's a whole other thing. So yeah, this is going to be the collection of sounds thing. It was just going to be my hip hop, how I see the versions I make. At least what I do. And like I said, like I always think I'm very doing one thing, but I think the average person just sees, that's one beat to another and whatever. It's just whatever. They don't even see the felt style different than what I do with you or with Atmosphere or whatever.
Yeah.
I see it very different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I tried to do.
And so the idea of having them be, like you want them to be exclusive, like you made limited numbers so that they would sell out.
Yeah, because I was scared about that. I wanted to do like 500 a piece. I thought, I could do 500 copies of each probably. I mean, I probably have at least 50 people on my phone that would buy, you know what I'm saying? Like I could probably figure this out, you know what I mean? Make my money back.
Yeah.
And then, Rhyme Sayers was thinking, oh, we could probably make this more, we could make you an artist, I think. We could make this a little bigger than that.
Yeah.
And they thought that I could do 1,500 records a piece. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'm scared of that. But if you guys are confident in it, then that's fine. And they're like, well, we'll do this, that, and the third, and make you like more of a featured artist kind of thing, and the shirts and all kind of weird shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, what? Yeah, fine. And now I wouldn't be surprised if some of this gets repressed at some point. I don't know. I'm just now.
I mean, the first one sold out around the time that the second one dropped.
Yeah, well, way before actually, because we took the second one on tour and there was only a couple left.
Okay.
But it hadn't dropped yet. The record didn't drop until we were halfway in this tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did okay. Yeah, so it did good enough in that respect,
So I mean, so far they're like selling.
They're doing all right.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. We'll see how this third one comes out, because to me that's the true tale. Is like the first one, I'm gonna get a lot of people supporting.
Because it's never happened before.
It's never happened before, and I've been around a long time. So that doesn't surprise me that happened. Mm-hmm. The second one is a bigger of a push, and the third, so forth. Third and fourth. That'll be the true tale. We'll see what happens with the fourth one. Because if I sit on the fourth one for 2 years, that'll tell me something. You know what I mean? It'll tell me to slow my roll. Because I want to do this a lot.
Yeah, and so like on this tour, so okay, like you've always been like, you're an extremely instrumental part. Like I think like both me and Slug would both say like these records are at least half you, like the albums we make with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like, and I got a homie that makes beats. It's like these records happen as like they're true like collaborations.
Yeah.
But you've always played the back in terms of like not talking and not being, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So it's a different thing for you to do. And then on this tour to do, like to go out on stage by yourself and talk to the audience
yeah,
on the mic every night and play your music and in some ways kind of like recreate certain things, you know what I mean? Like live in front of people.
yeah.
Like, what's that like for you?
Well, it's exhilarating, and it's scary, and it's also makes me proud and
Mm.
happy. There's a lot of emotions going on.
Mm-hmm.
I I felt like going into it that I might be able to get away with a little bit of something, because these a lot of the people that come to these shows, they already kind of appreciate me, and I've met so many of them too, and I've been known as a nice person for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I could get away with certain parts of this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's just being honest about it.
Yeah.
You know, uh, I was worried about talking on stage, even though I've done it a couple times where and it was years ago when I did the interview with James years and years ago, 20 years ago or something, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, if it's people that understand where I'm coming from and are supportive of this, what I do,
Yeah.
those people can hear me. So I've always been able to know that in the back of my mind, I'm not scared to do that at some level. Now, I used to talk a little more in the atmosphere set, or not talk, but here and there, I would say little weird things or yell in the mic or whatever, and it just gotten away from it, and I don't do it anymore, and for a variety of reasons. But I just more and more just stayed away from it. It just doesn't fit the atmosphere thing. It just doesn't. As things have gone on, that was the kind of the part I was a little more worried about. The art part, I know I'm gonna get it. I
Like
know something. I know that
presenting the music, performing the music, because you're like playing it and performing it. It's like somewhere in between just DJing your songs and performing the music.
I know I'm doing something. I know I'm doing something that just not a lot of people can do.
Yeah.
I know it, and I haven't. And the funny thing is, I've never even done this.
Uh-huh.
This is literal. I just bought the equipment a month. I practiced 5 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I was never worried about that. I was worried about, because I have an audience, obviously. It would be different if I was just doing this blindly on my own.
Right.
Let's be real about that, too.
Yeah.
You know, if I was just
Like
playing.
you're not starting from zero.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have an audience is also because of work you did. It's not like that was given to you.
I've worked a long time, and I've been on stages for a lot of 20 years of being on stage. It's countless tours.
Yeah.
It's crazy how long I've been doing it now. So I was just worried about how do I talk to the audience, because I knew that was going to be very important. That's going to be the difference from me connecting and not. I know it. I just did, and I was going to talk just a pinch. I was going to talk just a pinch. Austin, the sound guy, your tour manager, sound guy, is the one that told me, man, you need to talk more. I was like, really? He's like, because I was scared. I'm like, am I talking too much? He's like, no, you should talk more. You're hilarious, and it's connecting.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, all right, well, that made me feel good. You know what I mean? And gave me a little more extra confidence to keep doing it the way I've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The art part, like I said, the art part I was never too worried about, even though it's the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if you're not connecting, it's pointless.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really what it is.
Yeah, you have to figure out how to connect to them. And unfortunately,
most people don't.
Yeah, you just got to be able to talk to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just make sure I talk in a very realistic way and present my art as such. There's going to be a mixture of styles of humor that maybe fly over your head, maybe not, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to see me being me, you know?
Yeah. And how does it feel like how does it feel like it's being received?
Sometimes better than others. You know, it just depends. Like, I feel like sometimes people are staring at me like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like people are like, yo, I can't believe I'm saying this.
Yeah.
And then I feel like there's people like, why don't you play something we know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's where I feel like a true artist.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm playing things that you know, I'm playing new atmosphere beats. You know what I'm saying? I'm not playing Scapegoating Yesterday or nothing. You know what I mean? I'm playing things we won't do.
Yeah.
You know?
Because, I mean, for context for people that might not know, I'm saying, like, you know, Just Blaze, Alchemist, like a number of producers will go, Swiss Beats.
Yeah.
Like, they'll do a set as a DJ, and they'll play the songs that they did. And, I mean, they're usually going to play their most well-known stuff.
They play dope-ass hits, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, you're...
I'm not.
No, like, you're playing the music that you...
I think is tight.
Yeah.
I'm playing the least known atmosphere joint, but there's one that's that's known enough that I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're a camera thief.
Yeah, I'm doing Camera Thief, and it's like, but
Camera Thief is like top 5 beats you've ever made for you, right?
for me, yeah. It was just a part of my life that was, you know, it was a whole different. It restarted and reignited my career in my eyes. I've said that in the last time we made the podcast. Getting with G Coop, making that music, because the sample beat was great. Don't get it twisted. It was great, but getting with him and recreating it with him and blah blah blah, making it what it ended up being,
taking it to another level, seeing like open up all these possibilities.
Open the horizons to other things.
You're no longer sampling, but you do have a sound that feels
and
right.
I've dumped everything in Minneapolis. I'm not working with anything in Minneapolis no more. I'm in the Bay and I'm doing other things, and I even mixed it in a different way. Yeah. Not to put it. I wasn't not to knock anything or anybody. Right. It was just a whole different way of doing things.
Sometimes you gotta
start over to make it right. You know what I mean? So, you know, so Southsiders, I'm proud of that record. It's a change. Yeah. And some people love that album. Yeah. And they should. It's great. Yeah. It's great. Yes. And so that started that journey. So that I hold that music in a special place, and that's what that is all about.
I mean, you threatened to kill somebody for telling you to put hats on.
Yeah. My homie, a producer homie of mine. I was like, I came over to the house and I played him that beat, and I was like, you know, I played it for everybody. Actually, I played it for anybody that would come over back then, and I played it, and he goes, could use some more hi-hats.
Like the double time hi. He wanted.
And I was like, get the fuck out of my house. I'm going to shoot you in your face. And I meant it. I meant it. Like, if I had a gun, I'd probably be in prison right now. Because it was the most idiotic thing you could say. Yeah. You could hear that music. Anybody listening to this, you hear that music, you could be like, ugh, or whatever. It makes you not like, whatever you want to feel. That's fine. Yeah. But you cannot tell me that it's missing something. Or you could make it better with something.
Especially with something as stupid as double time hi-hats.
Or any hi-hat, for that matter. I don't care if it's... I don't care. Yeah. You're wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like... Yeah.
It's funny because, okay, so like we've talked about the fact that my wife has like insight into music. Yeah. She's not a super hip-hop head. Although it's like she's from the Bronx, and you know what I mean? Like she's just like, it's in the water. You know what I mean? Yeah. And... But yeah, man. So I didn't tell her that was a special one to you. But when that song came out, she was like, yo, she's like, I feel like this is Anthony. Yeah. Like, she's like, it's beautiful and it's sad. She's like, I can't say why it's beautiful. I can't say why it's sad. And it's fly. It's like beautiful, sad, and fly all at the same and like dope. And like, it's a hip hop dope. You know what I mean? She's like, this is everything about his music all in one beat.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great compliment, and I agree.
Yeah.
You know? And I only have a few of those. And, you know what I mean?
What are the other ones? Or what are some of the other ones?
It's in certain ways, I think the song Virgo was kind of like that to me. I think the one we just did, the last song on the album that I put a lot of pressure on you with. You know what I mean? You know, I guess I can't pull them right out of my hat like that, but you know, there's a song called "Me." That beat is it's on the Painted Gold record. It's a song called "Me" that it's just the best. The way I did the drums on there, the way it's replayed, and the vocal, like, and there's another one where the sample beat was just as great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like, but this just has the dynamics, you know what I mean? So, but you know, there's not a whole lot of times I've really captured fully, you know. There was actually a few on the Dem Atlas record though, actually.
Yeah.
There was a few on there.
Like Gratitude?
Gratitude, and then there was what the hell was the name of it? It's a strong piano joint. I don't know. Yeah, listen to the Dem Atlas record, man. You'll see. There's like
I haven't heard it in a minute, but I just remember, like, man, the production on it and just the sound of like him on there.
Yeah,
like,
that was the whole thing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that was just.
Like I always like, man, I used to always tell him, like, man, please just let me and Sean help with the words.
Yeah, he wasn't interested in that.
No, he was dead set. He was dead against it.
Yeah, I was like, come on, you know, because I would talk to him about his lyrics all the time, and I would try to help in the best way possible I can.
Yeah.
And
but like everybody, great. You know what I'm saying? Like Lenny Kravitz is like, that's what I thought when I heard that record. I'm like, oh, this is Lenny Kravitz kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, he's not writing all. I don't think. I don't know. Yeah. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Like,
yeah.
Most of those people are not writing.
Most of them aren't. Yeah. But yeah. But I was like, man, there was a few things on there, and we got to. I got to explore a few things I normally don't. You know what I mean? Especially tempo variations because he was singing.
Yeah.
So I think there's something on there like 50 beats a minute or something. You know what I mean? Or 51 or something, and then there's something at 127. You know,
yeah,
it's all over the place. You know, and I was, you know,
that's one of those times that like you make something great and like.
Yeah,
it just didn't land.
Yeah, nobody,
because the audience that was there, it wasn't ready for that, and the audience that would have been ready for that wasn't there.
Yeah, it just went through the cracks. Just it doesn't exist, you know.
Yeah,
man, it just doesn't exist, and it's I know it's a shame, you know.
It's a crime.
Yeah,
like that's a crime. It's a crime that like.
Yeah.
You can make really, really dope art, and it's just for whatever reason
nobody hears it.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't connect, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the biggest fear for me is, and I've been doing this for so long, and you know, like when I did the Atmosphere Halloween record, the day before Halloween or whatever the hell it's called, it was like that. I knew it was dope, but I know the people that won't like it. I know it immediately. I know them. I mean, you know, so it's like, but the art in me just says, no, I don't care. It's worth it. You know what I mean? It's worth it. And I don't know. It's such a weird thing to live like that, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you could ruin everything just with the wrong thing, you know, with the wrong piece of music, you know. So I feel like, you know, just doing the wrong stuff, you know, just turn everybody off.
Yeah.
You know. And I feel like, yeah. I don't know, man. It's tough, you know. It's tough. It's tough to live like that. And doing this instrumental series, like, I went from saying, for years, I'm not going to do instrumental thing. No, that's ridiculous. Who listens to that junk? I went from that to, I'll release 4 in a row.
Yeah.
I'm expecting people to spend $30 every 3 months to hear my old garbage or whatever the heck, you know what I mean? But I'm presenting it in a way, I took time and care into it and presented it in a certain way that I hope transfers. And I have received good feedback on it at some level. I'm not setting the world on fire or nothing, but it's a nice little start, you know?
Nah, man, and I think it's like, man, the thing about, I'm just like more Anthony in the world, period. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
Like because the music, like, it sounds like you. Everything you do sounds like you.
Yeah, what's up?
And that's such a rare thing in any for anybody in anything they do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just like, man, and what's dope is like when you do make different styles of music, it still sounds like you.
Yeah.
You know, and there's something about the sonics of it. I think it's so dope too that you mixed it yourself, because like I don't think people really understand that that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But like the way that you can make a 4-track sound, and also like the way that you can make,
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. Like, man, all that, like you listen to, the Melodies and Memories 2 tape, and then like the 7 tape.
Yeah.
Like that Headshot 7.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Or
Like,
the
I
B-sides.
don't think,
The Beyond B-sides.
Yeah, both of them, man.
Yeah.
Both of them. Like, there's no way for people to appreciate what that is. You know what I mean? It'd have to be like somebody else that's tried to do something like that. You know what I mean? To understand, like, in 96, 97, or maybe 98 or whatever, when those things happen. That like, that you have an entire album made on a 4-track, mixed on the 4-track, and released on cassette, and it sounds like that.
Yeah. And I forget about that stuff, or I don't put it into thought that all that stuff's a thing,
I mean, all those beats, and then all the interludes, all the scratches, the arrangement, and then the timing of like how the song. So like, yeah, it's okay. So this is like a super, but like on the 7 tape, did you all take that in? Like, how do those songs you made them go together? Because all your albums always like the way that the songs flow together.
Yeah,
there's music to that.
Yeah,
like things come in at a very specific time.
Yeah,
and there's
some of it's made like that. Like we put it intentionally. You know what I mean? So yeah, we just we knew a certain order as we went, because that was the thing too. We did the songs, and we had some of them we redid to put them in an order.
Okay.
I think, if I recall, yeah. And the Musaba did it. The B-sides and Headshot 7 came out the same day.
Yeah.
That was a big deal to me.
Yeah.
And both of them, we re-recorded a lot of the stuff to go on there.
Okay.
So just to make it flow, so I could have the proper endings, or I could have the proper, you know what I mean? Because we didn't Pro Tool it out or nothing,
Okay.
I ended it the proper way so that we could, when we did put it in a mastering situation, they could just.
It was already there.
It laid out, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand the concept of that, I didn't see any of that stuff until later on, like a few.
Till Seven's Travels. I
saw
God
it
Loves Ugly.
Yeah, right before. Yeah, around that time, I started seeing. Even though God Loves Ugly was all done in ADAT.
Okay.
But I started realizing, there's something else going on here with
the Pro Tools
thing. This is different.
Yeah.
It's starting to, we were late to it. We were late to the game, but.
And like all those songs, both those tapes, those were songs that were like, we got an album coming. Like, we're going to go in the studio and make an album.
Yeah.
This is like some other, like,
this is
super wild stuff that we got.
Yeah, we just couldn't fit, or didn't fit the theme, or was old.
Yeah.
Some of it was starting to feel old, Yeah. And, Saab, I don't even know where to begin with that. There was so much we had to dump,
Yeah, I mean,
And it's just over and over. We've talked,
I mean, we've never talked about it publicly, but I mean, like, yeah, man. You talking about like something that is just a crime.
Yeah.
That it doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just look at him and like all the amazing music that he made.
Yeah.
All different styles. Like, he made more music than anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then with a lot of people, you're like, oh man, it's just a shame. He's just ugly. Or like, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, this guy is like, looks like a movie star. He's extremely intelligent, well-spoken, funny, charismatic, photogenic.
All the stuff, yeah.
You know what I mean? Can talk to anybody. Like, it's just, yeah, man.
Yeah. Just nothing ever makes sense. This business, this stuff never makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm sometimes I'm like, oh, this song is whoever I've worked with, or even people who I know that I have nothing to do with. I'm like, oh, that's one of the best songs ever.
Yeah.
Like Blueprint has that one jam.
So Alive.
Yeah, it's like one of the top.
I was like, oh, that's going to be, because that came at the same time as like Kid Cudi.
Okay, I don't remember the timeline, but I just remember hearing it being like, oh, this is easy.
It's a hit.
This is going to be everywhere.
Like an actual hit song. Yeah.
The real deal.
Like the day and night, the lone stoner comes out. I thought it was going to be like that.
Yeah.
And just like,
it's just,
why? I don't know.
Yeah, it did make some noise, but it's not, it should have been way bigger.
Yeah.
You know? I remember too, we were on tour with him with that, and I was like, I remember one night, he either skipped it or played it in the first or in the middle or something. I was like, what are you doing? Because I don't make a habit of telling people what they should or shouldn't do necessarily, but I was like, dude, you better be playing that song, and probably last. I was like, that's like a top 10 thing, man. Like, don't mess around, you know. I just was so big on that song.
Yeah.
I don't know if he remembers that. I remember, because I've always done that with people. I mean, if it was true.
Yeah.
You know, I remember saying a similar thing to Idea, and but he knew already. You know? But there was a song he had on tour with us, and I was like, that's the jam, dude. I can't remember. It was like the fast one where he sang. I can't remember the name. It was, which one was it?
Is it Smile?
I'm a spinning round and round.
Oh, okay.
I got my head. Is it that? It's like real up-tempo singing.
Okay.
Because Smile is not that, right? Smile's a slow.
Yeah.
And
he's rapping. It's like a halftime thing.
No. This is not rap. This is like next thing. You know what I mean? Rap songs to me, man, I love rap more than anything. But that's a certain area, you know, with me. There's too many great rap songs.
Yeah.
You know. But when a rapper does something very unexpected, like that, like sing or something strange, or very really putting your heart out in a different way, artistically and your heart, both. When you're doing both and putting it all on the line to look like a fool, I admire that more than anything. You know what I mean? It's like Slug with Guarantees or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you went there. You put it all there. You laid it all out, you know? And it might not work.
Yeah.
But I don't care, though. It works to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and he did that. Like, for Musab especially, like, to say some of the, like, really... Like, now, like, especially in our world, it's, like, cliche.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, they're vulnerable, and they're... You know what I mean?
He was whole ahead of
But, like, okay, it's one thing for a weird, arty white dude to do it.
Yeah.
It's another thing for Musab.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That, like, that's
weird white
of.
dudes weren't even doing that, though, then.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't even happening.
Yeah.
It wasn't even happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for him to just be, you know...
He was saying all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It was very... very introspective, way before its time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. In so many ways, like, he just really laid so much of the foundation for what ended up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Yeah, man. Music it's such a hard thing to understand how it works, you know.
Because, and then something else will just have a moment that you'd be like, this is not special.
Yeah, how did this have a moment?
Yeah. Or, like, then, you know, like, how, what is, you know what I mean? Like, why this? Why? And it's most of the things that are popular, like, you know.
Yeah, most things that are popular, yeah.
Most popular things, I'm just like, man, this has zero value to me at all.
Yeah.
And then, you know, not to mention, like, we've been talking about this whole thing, but, like, you know, the way that people celebrate things that were very underground and then the person dies,
Yeah.
and then suddenly everybody,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Celebrates it.
Yeah. I mean, Dilla,
Yeah.
to a certain degree, Mikey, to a certain degree, Sean Price. But I really feel that way about Doom. It's like, man, I was, I'm glad that people are on it now.
Yeah.
But like, man, I toured with Doom when he was at the height of Doom.
Yeah.
Like he had just dropped Mad Villain with Otis. What's his name? Mad Lib.
Oh, yeah.
So like that was out. And then it was the Food record. And
But those were somewhat celebrated in a very underground way.
in an underground way. Yeah. I'm saying
they were dope. Everybody knew it.
yes. But the people that were at the show,
Yeah.
I'm saying when I look at those people, it's like those were underground rap nerd enthusiasts.
It turned into something else.
Yeah, and they were all about it. But I'm saying like, it's funny because I just saw like the thing that's so beautiful that they did that thing at Camp Flognaw, but I saw Erykah Badu singing, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm so glad you guys are finally celebrating my brother Doom," and I'm just like, man, I don't remember any of that type of energy around Doom. You know what I mean? Like, I know that there were artists that loved him, and it's not that he wasn't, but like I've been around a number of those people right before they died.
Yeah.
So like Doom, Idea, Sean Price, yeah. And the people that were at the show were like all about it. And those people
But there wasn't a lot of people there.
No, and they weren't cool people.
Yeah.
Like they weren't cool people. Cool artists knew about them.
Yeah. The misfit toy audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But it was not that. And I mean, even
it's pretty strange how you've been around a lot of these cats.
Yeah. Like I was not around Dilla. I never met Dilla. I never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was a similar thing, where like almost immediately when he died, then all of a sudden it was just like he's the greatest ever.
Yeah.
And of course there were people saying that. Of course.
Before,
Q-Tip
but by and large though, that was not the idea. No.
No, the hip hop audience was not.
Yeah.
Even the underground, avant-garde was not.
But it definitely was bubbling.
Yes.
It was definitely bubbling that way.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I never really thought that. I thought he was the great beat maker.
Yeah.
I still, obviously, I do, and a great producer. I do think all that. But when I was thinking, in my mind at the time, a producer was in more of the vein that was creating artists and creating whole pictures, a whole big picture,
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about it the way I do now.
Yeah.
And just, he changed the way people make music.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was thinking producer in the sense of the traditional way. Like Dr. Dre and Quincy Jones, you creating stars. And at the time, that's what I cared about, what I was aiming at. I was like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do I create career?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do I do that?
Yeah.
How do I create a universe?
Yeah. But in a way, like he kind of, like I feel like the Roots really became the Roots once they started working with him. And I feel like Common, the artist, that I feel like that happened with Common.
Well, I think that was just more of their evolution because they were what they were when they came out. To me, like Common was great right away. The Roots were great right away.
Yeah.
Their second album to me.
But if you think about, what's that? Things Fall Apart.
Yeah.
And Mama's Gun, Erykah Badu. And
that whole thing. Yeah.
Water
there was
for Chocolate.
Yeah.
Like all those people were doing something, but I feel like they really they all reached their apex.
Yeah. When they got to that level.
He was at the heart of that.
Yeah.
But also I felt like at the time people didn't necessarily know that. Like I don't know if people realized like.
Yeah, probably not, because I think it's just one of those things. But I think weren't all those guys all working together? So I think it might be there's a community to it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that too.
You know what I mean? I can't ever give credit to just one person.
Right, yeah.
I hate to not want to do that.
Yeah.
But when you have that kind of community because they're all so dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're all equally dope. So it's just it's just it was just lightning in the bottle kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy, you know. But
yeah, you got Jill Scott and Bilal and like even kind of the more like
yeah, that not everybody knows as well.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you have D'Angelo there just
oh my God,
all the time.
yeah,
Just
man.
could you imagine?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Questlove will say that Dilla is the one that
Made it work.
that made all that thing fall into place.
Yeah.
Like his sonics and his style of drumming.
I believe that.
He's like, that's what, because he was like, that's what set that sound aside from everything else happening in hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like everything else in hip hop at that time was so quantized and even the soulful music, if you think about like what Just Blaze and like that part
Yeah,
of.
I remember when I first started noticing Dilla was on that the Far Side record.
Right.
Because they changed their sound, and a lot of people didn't like that record,
Yeah.
that second record, because they
The
changed
Tribe Called Quest record too. A lot of people didn't like either one of those.
I wasn't as big on the Tribe record, but I liked it. But the Far Side one I loved, and I loved. It was weird because there was like two songs in specific I liked a lot, and I remember being like, why do I like these the most? And they were singing style, and it wasn't Running Away, even though that I like it, but it wasn't that song, even though Dilla did do that. But there was a couple others on there, and I liked those so much, and had the big claps and the big all that shit, and I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh, this dude did this De La stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite De La record.
Yeah.
Because that's Stakes is High is my favorite De La record.
Yeah.
If not one of my favorite rap records of all time. You know, and I think maybe he only did one or two things on there, but they're pillars. It's it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal for me to say that that's their best record when they had 3 classics prior.
Yeah.
You know, or 2 at least.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Yeah, he changed. He definitely changed everything. Yeah, he changed it all.
And then like I remember Merce and Jake One being like, "Yo, you should really mess with Nipsey Hussle."
Mm-hmm.
Like both of them were like saying, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I planned to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he got killed, and I remember like, yeah. Like suddenly overnight it was like, man, Nipsey Hussle's that dude. And definitely he was that before he died to a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
But it
wasn't universally known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if you're an underground, like something that people just absolutely love, you kind of have to die.
Whew, that's a harsh one. Yeah. I hear you.
Cause like it's like people don't hear you until you die. Like if you're doing something so different, there's something about the like he died thing. It's like there's something about that makes everybody just kind of like snap into reality about, oh, wait a minute, wait, he died? I don't know what it is about that thing that just makes people listen differently.
Yeah, that is strange. But it's always been that way. The rock guys all went through that in the 70s.
Yeah.
All of it. It's always been a thing, I think.
Yeah.
Or it's like when somebody's dad dies. He was a dickhead the whole time, and all of a sudden he died. And my sister is a prime example, right? My dad was just horrible. The funniest guy ever.
Yeah.
But just horrible.
Yeah.
He died, and so be it. Whatever.
Right.
She fucking, every year, she has this cry fest over this guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's just dude's a jerk. He's been dead, like, fuck, forever. You know, she still whines about it once a year. You know, it's just like, yeah, it's weird how it all works.
Yeah, something
about death.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember, like, that was one of the things that me and you talked about pretty early. It's like me and Sadiq both like Jay-Z and the Hot Boys. And you weren't supposed to in that circle of rap.
Yeah.
It was like, no, we're the De La Soul Most Deaf people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got in his car and he was playing the Hot Boys. I was like, you mess with the Hot Boys? He was like, yeah, man, this is hot. This is dope.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, I feel the same way. And we both thought Jay-Z was the best rapper. But I remember me and you both agreed on like, yes, Tupac and Biggie are great, but like the fact that they died is why people are saying,
yeah, to put them in the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how I felt. Even though Saab was big on Biggie immediately.
I was big on Biggie immediately too.
Yeah.
But I was like, but like the greatest ever?
Ever? Like, already? Like,
Yeah, he only really had two records
and like, not all, it was a lot of pop songs, and
yeah, there was a lot of stuff on.
I just wasn't into that puffy stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anything Premier did or whatever, of course,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, of course he's great.
And
Of course he's a great rapper.
The Easy Mo B and Premier stuff, like, yes.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, easy. But, yeah, all that other stuff, I don't know. And I know that's blasphemy and all that, but whatever, man. That's how I felt at the time.
Also, you said from day one that Puffy is a bad person.
Yeah, he just struck me as a bad.
You're like,
bad,
man, that's
bad guy.
Dark energy. That's not good.
I always felt that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm saying that since I met you with like 98, you were saying that.
Yeah, I felt it a long time ago. And there's lots of people like that. I just don't need to say it here, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have that feeling a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your instincts are second to none. Like, your instincts are pretty much undefeated. With a lot of things, like
to a degree, yeah. Just yeah. I have a lot of shortcomings, but the couple things I am good at have saved my life a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know. Yeah, that's. Yeah, the dark energies and stuff.
Yeah, you can see that on people.
Yes, I kind of see it fast. Yeah.
Yeah. There's somebody that I like that you that you're like, man, that's not a good dude. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I know you, I trust you at this point, but I'm just like, oh man.
but also, I'm also like, I mean, I weigh it out in the sense of how can they really hurt you? You know what I mean? I weigh it out like that.
Yeah.
And there's not real, I can't see the real danger.
Yeah.
There'd be more danger if you were younger.
Mm.
Some of that plays a part too. You know what I mean? You know, yeah. Yeah, sometimes some things just don't need to be said. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Some things is whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good if you are. Yeah.
2 hours 36.
That's all right. Yeah.
Special thanks to my dear beloved brother Ant for coming through. If you made it this far, then I appreciate you for hanging out. It's really great to just be able to sit down and talk, and I appreciate you bearing with the fact that it just, it might not sound as technically up to snuff as some of the other joints. We strive for a certain, level of excellence that we're able to achieve with our little small crew, and not a big, huge budget. Some of these podcasts, man, like I was watching The People's Party. That's another podcast that I really enjoy, especially when Kweli was in the studio. Those are just amazing, incredible documents. And, that thing has a big budget. Like they were doing that with Up Rocks that used to be Raucous Records. And so they have a huge budget, along with the fact that Kweli is just very, very dedicated to everything he does. And, so, that's a big budget show, as most of these bigger ones are. And Travelers Podcast is me and BK1. Our man Don Kufi is, testing the waters, testing his hand at editing some of these joints, which really could free us up in a lot of ways. It's a huge undertaking to do a weekly podcast. Imagine me trying to schedule episodes with other rappers. It's not an easy thing to do. And then on top of that, BK1 has to be there to make sure everything is set up right. And he's got a family and he's got a full schedule and all this kind of stuff. And then the process of editing these joints is a full-time job. Like he could easily spend 30 to 40 hours a week just editing these episodes. And so if it seems like our man Don Kufi's gonna step up and start editing, which means that BK can kind of take over scheduling, and then I can just take over preparing for these joints and reaching out to more people. Inshallah, 2025 will see a real rededication on our part to this podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. It was really dope on the tour to meet so many people that listen to the show, listen to the podcast, and that it really matters to you. This time being on tour was my first time getting to do that, and it really, really means a lot to me. And just even sharing these stories and these testimonies with BK1, it meant a lot to him too. And so we're very appreciative. Shout out to all the people that listen and give me feedback. Shout out to Omar B. I love you, Habib, if you're hearing this. Shout out to Sheikh Khalis. Shout out to Imam Shane, always is listening, always checking in. Shout out to Aida Rashid. Shout out to all my people that really listen and give me feedback. I love you. I appreciate you. And please like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Help us fight the robots, as Open Mike Eagle likes to say. And we will see you next week. We'll be talking to my dear friend Mally about my favorite album of 2024 called The Sweetest of It All. Much love. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.